and Murang'a woman representatives have been a shaggy for consideration. In a notice by the party's elections board chairperson Stephen Wandeto, the President Uhuru Kenyatta-led party presented the two names to the coalition as it seeks to settle a running mate to Raila Odinga, who is the coalition's flag bearer. These as KANU party leader Gideon Moi endorsed Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka for the same position, terming him the most suitable to deputize Odinga ahead of the August polls. Candidates being considered for the deputy president's post under an Odinga presidency had earlier been directed to appear before the panel for vetting. The decision has since been rescinded. The Independent Election Boundaries Commission had directed that presidential aspirants submit their running mates by May 16. So far, on the Roots Party presidential aspirant Professor George Ojakoya has unveiled his running mate. Meanwhile, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has maintained that he is the most suitable candidate to deputize Odinga and further maintained that he will not honor the interview sessions. The panel of eminent persons seeking Odinga's running mate held its inaugural meeting Wednesday and named former cabinet minister Noah Kesa as its chairperson, who made the announcement. The committee, however, warned that it will only consider nominations from parties in the coalition. Still on matters politics, and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga is calling on his United Democratic Alliance counterpart William Ruto to henceforth stop berating the government and step down from the deputy president's post. The ODM leader charged that Ruto has no moral authority to find fault in the Jubilee administration, which serves as one of its highest-ranking officials. He wondered why the DP was quick to disparage the government's performance when it continues to draw salary and allowances courtesy of its position as deputy president. The former prime minister is adamant that Ruto must henceforth cease fighting the government if he is unwilling to relinquish the deputy president's post. Raila made the remarks during his Meet the People tour of Nyandarua and Nakuru counties, where he called on the area residents to rally behind his bid to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. And Deputy President William Ruto has challenged his opponents to focus on finding solutions to the challenges facing ordinary Kenyans instead of being preoccupied with proportioning political positions. He said the August general elections will offer Kenyans an opportunity to elect a government that is sensitive to their needs, as opposed to one that is after changing the constitution to create power for a few at the top. To the courts, and the Central Organization of Trade Union Secretary General Francis Atwoli now wants Labour Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui relieved of his duties over alleged blatant disregard of a presidential directive. Atwoli is up in arms over what he termed as a decision by Chelugui to openly disobey an order from the head of state during Labour Day celebrations, directing him to gazette the appointment of Rose Omamo to the National Social Security Fund Board by close of business Wednesday this week. The court was accused Chelugui alongside the Labour Principal Secretary of defiance and contempt to the office of the President by failing to act as directed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. This as the Cabinet Secretary of Labour Simon Chelugui now says allegations by the Central Organization of Trade Union Secretary General Francis Atwoli to the effect that he refused to gazette the appointment of Rose Omamo to the National Social Security Fund Board as ordered by the President are untrue. Instead, Chelugui, who was directed by the head of state to confirm Omamo's position on the NSSF board by Wednesday this week, says he had already acted on the order issued by President Uhuru Kenyatta during Labour Day celebrations on May 1st. While responding to Atwoli's call to have him dismissed over alleged defiance and contempt to the office of the President, Chelugui was categorical that he had no reason to disregard or disobey the President's directive. Now, the High Court has dismissed a petition by former nominated Senator Paul Njoroge seeking to postpone the August 9th general election to next year. In a 67-page petition, the former nominated senator further pointed out that President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto were sworn into office on November 28, 2017, and by holding the next election on August 9th, 2022, they will not have completed their 5-year constitutional term. Justice Anthony Mrima ruled that elections are a historical event clearly stipulated in the Constitution to be held on the second Thursday in the month of August. Now, the Kenya Human Rights Commission and the Institute of Social Accountability have petitioned the High Court to compel the government to produce information on Kenya's public debt. More on these in our subsequent bulletins. My name is Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nyeri.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I like listening to you guys. You're the default radio station in my car in the morning. Even the children listen to you guys.
I agree Parliament has failed this country, and I will say it again. We have not done what we should have done.
We know in this country, the Kenya prison sector is one of the most underfunded sector.
The way it is being done and the way we're calling it Huduma Namba the Msema Kweli is because all records will be there. You know, there are people who are now billionaires with no history as to how they got all these assets.
Yes. Anything that the president does that is not in accord with the constitution is an illegal act. You know, he shouldn't be doing it, and he shouldn't be sitting here and trying to sort of guise it up.
I totally believe live transmission of results and allowing Kenyans to be able to view all these results. I believe that it will be impossible to steal elections.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, what are we looking at this morning? It's Friday, it's tail end of the week, and the sun is up, but it looks like no one else is. Not too much traffic anywhere you look this morning. Mombasa is looking really good, coming out into the city as well. Industrial area, except for little bits here and there on Jogo Road where we have some traffic. Langata Road seems to be piling up here and there, but it's not too bad. Coming off Thika Superhighway, we're likely to see some action here as well. Traffic is just starting to build up in this part of the city. Let's look into Westlands, where it's building on Wayaki Way as well. James Gishiro, free and clear. There's an option for you to use right now. Should it get a little bit messier, there is also the option of getting out on the Red Hill Link Road. But for now, it looks good. If you're out now, you'll have a good time. If not, you might want to think about it or wait until later. Let's talk through the morning. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation
9
Room,
minutes after
the
6.
only way to start
Good
your
morning to you.
day.
How are you doing? The 6th day of March 2022. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Hey, it's cold in Nairobi, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Is it?
Hey, yeah.
I'm not feeling this.
Hey. Hey. Kabisa, you're not feeling it? Cold, bwana. What do you mean?
It's cold in Nairobi. If you go to other parts of the country, what do you think you'll suffer from?
It depends on which parts.
Timboroa.
See, it will be cold.
Colder.
Yeah, now that I'm not there, I'm talking about the cold that I feel.
Okay, sorry.
I feel it in my fingers.
You feel it in your toes? I'm sorry.
In my bones.
What is that cold?
Aish. Did you see Nairobi yesterday was just drizzling throughout?
Yeah, it rained. It did.
Throughout the day. Now that has dropped the temperatures. How are you doing though?
Mimi, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. You're warm.
Told you now. Do you know?
Kona tumbo joto.
What?
Umepata tumbo joto.
Kitu kama hiyo. How are you?
Tumbo joto ni wasiwasi.
You know, you're just setting me up.
It is worse.
Uh-huh.
City is away today. He'll be back on Monday, God willing. It's Friday again.
Another Friday, just like that. Another one. There was just one the other day.
Yeah. No, guys just got back to work yesterday.
And they're gone again.
And today is another Friday.
Yeah.
Someone was complaining, wait a minute. It's Friday again. Another weekend. Aye.
Just like that.
Us guys
We're
don't
in the middle
know
of May. Do you know we're in the middle of May?
That's what they say. Just like that, the year is gone. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Today, we'll have several conversations. One of them is the IEBC signature requirement. We discussed it yesterday, and this is the requirement by the IEBC for candidates to present signatures and ID copies, photocopies of IDs of their supporters as they go to the IEBC for clearance. The chairperson of the Independent Candidates Forum of Kenya, Esther Thairo, will be with us here at 8 a.m. Remember, we talked about them, and the day before yesterday, they held a press conference where they were complaining and saying, this is discriminatory, it's unfair, it's never been a requirement before, why now? We'll ask her to explain to us what the real problem is and what the IEBC has told them, because they've reached out to the IEBC. And then at 9 a.m., let's have a conversation about how coalition parties could hurt independent candidates. Alpha Mwaura is somebody who is an aspirant for the senator seat in Nairobi County. Have you heard of him?
No, please.
Okay, but he feels that parties are hurting his chances.
These coalition things,
Yes.
is not working out.
It's not working out for. Probably he'd have wanted to vie in a different seat, through a different party. But remember, Azimio, for instance, decided we are not going to field competing candidates.
We're going to zone.
You're going to zone out. So this is Jubilee, this is ODM, this is Wiper. Same thing happened with Kenya Kwanza.
It seems that there are quite a lot of unsatisfied folk.
Yeah. And so he feels, maybe he's one of those that feel, look, I stood a chance.
Yeah.
But now my political party has joined Azimio. Azimio has decided zone.
This is how it's going to be.
Yeah. So he decided Kwenda. So he'll come and tell us the experience and the ordeal that he's gone through. But tell us about COVID.
Okay, let's do that. 515,877,151 is what we are looking at in terms of numbers. Pay attention to these numbers this morning. We're looking at deaths of 6,272,154. Okay? Numbers so far. Ministry of Health tells us that in Kenya, 12 new cases. Sample size of 2,472 gives us a positivity rate of 0.5%. While all of this is going on, the World Health Organization has said the true pandemic death toll is nearly 15 million. The world has been recording, or rather to date, has said our COVID deaths globally are 6.2 million. World Health Organization says, 15 is what we're looking at. Why are they saying this? It has caused the deaths of nearly 15 million people. That is 13% more deaths than normally expected over 2 years. The World Health Organization believes many countries undercounted the numbers who died from COVID, and only about 6 million were reported. In India, there were 4.7 million COVID deaths. It says 10 times the official figures and almost a third of COVID deaths globally. The Indian government also questioned the estimate, saying it has concerns about the methodology, but other studies have had similar conclusions about the scale of deaths in the country. So, officially reported 5.4 to about 6 million excess deaths during the pandemic, 14.9 million. The global excess death toll was higher for men at 57% and females at 43%. Lower middle income countries had most excess deaths, according to them, which I don't necessarily agree with. 15% high income countries, 28% upper middle income countries. The United States alone has had 1 million plus deaths. So what are we talking about? 53% lower income, lower middle income countries, and 4% low income countries. So they're saying that lower middle income countries have had the most deaths. But remember what we looked at. Has had excess deaths.
What are excess deaths?
So
deaths that are not attributed to
COVID. Yes.
And now they're looking at it comparing to previous years. The number of people who died in previous years, for whatever reason, and the number of people who died in these COVID years, and not by COVID, is higher. So clearly,
we're going to attribute it to COVID.
You have not died of COVID, but why are you...
And those deaths have not been given reason, according to the countries. But we're looking at numbers. If we look at the tabulated numbers that we've been getting over the last 2 years, like I said, 10 countries in the world, 10 to 12 countries in the world have the highest infection rates and the highest death tolls. And these are not lower middle income countries. They are not low income countries. They are the high income countries, which is what is attributed to 15% of COVID deaths. So what are we talking about here?
Excess deaths.
And excess deaths, they must be COVID since they have not been explained by anything else. The measure by which the World Health Organization is called excess deaths. How many more people died than would normally be expected to based on mortality in the same area before the pandemic hit? So those numbers are not coming together. Look at the countries that they've talked about. Egypt, India, Pakistan, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Bolivia, Serbia, Kazakhstan, Philippines, and Russia. And they're saying that the ratio of deaths, of excess deaths in 2020 and 2021 compared with reported COVID-19 deaths. And some countries here are listed as those who are not reporting those. Dr. Samira Asma, who is the World Health Organization's who is in the World Health Organization's data department, says it's a tragedy. It's a staggering number, and it's important for us to honor the lives that are lost, and we have to hold policymakers accountable, she says.
Yeah, it's true. If more and more people have died in Pakistan...
From COVID?
No, from
anything.
Yeah, they've just died, all right? And if you look at previous years, you've not been having this kind of death tolls. So why do you want to rubbish those people and just say, hey, they died?
Yeah. I mean, I get that.
They died. Anyway, this is a hot one. It's a hot bombshell by the WHO. Of course, it ought to be questioned, and it's the debate needs to happen anyway.
I agree.
17 minutes after 6, we are live streaming on SpiceFM KE, YouTube and Facebook. If you're online, do like that, and then we shall do like that after we take a look at the weather forecast. Good morning.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Brought to you by Colgate.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM.
Whether it's your graduation,
I love you too.
or your engagement day, for those unlimited moments, nothing can capture them better than the new Oppo Reno 7 AI triple camera. Or step up your selfie game with the ultra-sensing selfie camera and save them all with the 256GB memory space. Comes in exquisite fiberglass leather design in sunset orange that will definitely get your friends talking. The brand new Oppo Reno 7, unlimited me in portrait.
Standard Group's Farm Kenya initiative is the umbrella entity for all agriculture-related channels, activities and investments. The media platforms under the Farm Kenya initiative include the Smart Harvest Weekly Pullout in the Saturday Standard, KTN Farmers TV, a 24-hour agribusiness TV station, Maisha Kilimo, a weekly agriculture show on Radio Maisha, AgriTalk on Spice FM's morning show The Situation Room, and Grind na Agribiz on Vibes Radio morning show Morning Vibes. Find us online at www.farmers.co.ke, an integrated website that creates and aggregates agri-content, hosts a digital marketplace, and wide range of agri-data. Other platforms include specialized events such as the annual Mkulima Expo, quarterly Farmers Kenya Breakfast, and dedicated social media platforms at Farm Kenya 254. Farm Kenya, working to secure your growth.
17 degrees and mostly cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see highs of 23 and lows of 15. At 14 degrees, it's partly cloudy in Nakuru. Highs of 24 and lows of 14. 14 degrees and cloudy in Nyeri. Highs of 23 and lows of 14 today. Partly cloudy conditions at 13 in Eldoret. Highs of 24 and lows of 12. It's raining in Mombasa at 24. We'll see highs of 30 and lows of 24 today. Rain showers also in Malindi at 26. Highs of 30 and lows of 25. 19 and partly cloudy in Kisumu, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 27 in a partly cloudy Kakamega as well. At 16 right now, we'll see lows of 15. Into Kampala, it's mostly clear at 21, highs of 26 and lows of 19, and Dar es Salaam is partly cloudy at 23, highs of 30 and lows of 23. 11 degrees and clear conditions in Johannesburg, highs of 22 and lows of 10, and we're looking at mostly clear conditions at 26 in Lagos with highs of 31, coming down to lows of 25 today. 25 is what it is in Kinshasa, highs of 33 and lows of 24, and at 15 into Friday afternoon, Beijing is sunny, highs of 23 and lows of 10. Clear conditions at 10 in Paris, highs of 23. We'll see highs of 21 in London, where it's currently clear at 13, and New York still Thursday night, it's 15 degrees and clear. We'll see highs of 22 and lows of 14.
Spice and everything nice. All right. Okay. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Mornings. 22 minutes after 6.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, now there are compliments and then there are things. Eddie Odwo says, good morning. Koru is up and listening. He says he's got a new calf this morning, or rather maybe yesterday morning or whenever this calf was born. And he'd like to name the calf Ndu.
Hey. Well, how do we celebrate this? Hey. Good morning, Ndu.
Morning. Paul Muga is tuned in from Chaka this morning. Outer Eldoret, not inner, Outer Eldoret is listening. That's where Edwin Kipkorir is this morning. Butula Locked, that's where Vincent Ogutu is. And El Bergen, Buddha Wamai says, good morning to you. Nyampesi Alai is tuning from Boya. Where is Boya?
Somewhere.
Okay. Nyamira County, Julius Mokaya is there, and Robert is tuning from Mombasa. Angela is tuning from Katani this morning and says, good morning. Gitao Michael, another weekend loading indeed. Good morning, TGIF. That's on Dicho, and his Msonga says good morning as well. Friday is waiting for Sir CT's proverb. Eric will do the business this morning. Tuned in from Nakuru. Karuri Kamau is tuning from Kasarani. Why are you laughing?
Go on.
Odero Jr. is tuned in from the Great Wall of Kino. Eric, he's got a message for you to pass on to CT. Please tell Bwana CT Muga that Bam Bam today does not mean what it meant while he was a youth.
It's not even spelled the same way.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Good morning, TSR. Did you get a glimpse of the paper bag with a picture of a lion that put Kenya on alert? Have a lovely Friday. Yes, we did. So many things. It was very interesting. This lion that kept people awake for hours turned out to be nothing but paper. Good morning. Zachary Ondeo is tuning from Kimilili, and Benson Muasia is tuned in as well. So many people online this morning. We see you, one and all. Kawega, Chenonge, Amimo, Mwalimu, Dawit. So many people online this morning. Karibuni sana. Thanks for joining us.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation, TGIF indeed. The day's proverb, on behalf of CT Muga, is from Lesotho. Why do they call it Lesotho? Lesotho.
It's interesting because the O in that part of the world is pronounced in some cases as an U, and the TH is rarely pronounced the. It's T.
See, they should have just written Lesotho. Was it so difficult for them to write Lesotho?
I asked the question, how is KY pronounced in some parts of Uganda and even some parts of Kenya?
Well, that's why. Leave them alone.
Okay.
So, this proverb from Lesotho: when a ripe fruit sees an honest man, it drops. When a ripe fruit sees an honest man, it drops.
The fruit.
As in the fruit
Okay.
drops. It's Friday indeed.
It's sour.
The fruit drops.
Okay.
When a ripe fruit sees an honest man,
It drops.
yes.
Ready for the picking. Or in this
Yes.
case, don't have to pick it.
I know it's juicy. Imagine like a mango.
Mm.
And those mangoes that, those traditional mangoes, what are these new mangoes that have no juice? They're just big, and those ones you just grab and you eat. And you've got to keep licking the juice as it flows down your hand. Beautiful. Those are the ones.
Okay.
The original Lukambani mangoes,
Mgoe.
whatever they're called. Let's take a look at the newspaper headlines now. www.standardmedia.co.ke. That's where you get all our premium content from the Standard newspaper, and also from KTN. And also you get all the content as well from SpiceFM, from Farmers TV. If you go to standardmedia.co.ke,
Everything.
you get a lot of content. There's a story that they're highlighting today. They're saying, you know, the MP for Kapseret is one Oscar Sudi. He was interviewed here. He is not known to mince his words, and he tends to shoot straight from the hip. Oscar Sudi said, I only fear three things: hunger, God, and lightning.
Lightning.
Hunger, God, and lightning. These are small things. So I don't know, floods, landslides,
Humans.
human
No.
beings, lions,
No.
nothing.
Paper bags.
Paper bags, nothing. Only hunger, God, and lightning. What's in the papers?
Okay, a very interesting story this morning. It's in The Nation, and it's on page 2. Fearing for his life, a preacher chooses to remain in jail after acquittal. In a rare occurrence, a Muslim cleric arrested in 2018 over terrorism, and who was acquitted yesterday, has astonished everyone by refusing to leave Committee Maximum Security Prison, saying he will be executed by state security agents. However, the former Marsabit Madrasa teacher Sheikh Guyo Garso will pay for his patronage of Committee Maximum Security Prison for 30 days as he pursues a suit he has filed at the High Court to compel the government to protect him. Sheikh Gasto refused to be handed over to his relatives who were in court, saying he feared he would be killed, just like other terror suspects who have disappeared without a trace upon being freed from custody. He pleaded with the magistrate to direct committee prison authorities to ensure he is safe and that they would not hand him over to any police officer, since he is apprehensive he will not live a day after exiting the gates of the detention centre. The cleric sat in the dock pensively as Milimani Law Court's Chief Magistrate Wendy Kagendo declared him free. Your Honour, I pray you direct Sheikh Gasso remains in committee even after you have declared him a free man. He fears for his life, according to his defence lawyer, John Haminwa. Quoting Articles 20, 21 and 22 of the Constitution, Dr. Haminwa said, state organs have a duty to protect citizens under the Bill of Rights. One of the fundamental rights of a citizen is right to life. According to him, Haminwa, who has practiced for more than 60 years, urged the magistrate to protect Sheikh Gasso until further orders are issued by the Superior Court. I undertake to pay for his subsistence while in committee until further orders are made by the High Court over his right to live. Ms. Kagendo directed that Sheikh remains at committee for 30 days as he pursues the High Court case. It is now the High Court which is vested with the power to interpret the Constitution and then give orders as it deems fit. So,
wow,
he's not going anywhere.
So he fears that if he gets out of committee maximum prison,
He wouldn't last the night. And his lawyer said, it's okay. We're going to be taken away from
so you're
the food
saying
of
those
another
who
inmate
would kill him outside prison don't have access to him inside the prison walls?
He's being watched by the state, as it were, and they would not be able to do it because then questions would, I don't know.
But who is he saying that you are likely to kill him?
State security agents.
There you go.
Yeah, and state security agents, don't the prisons fall under that?
Or is, okay, I don't know.
I mean, he's gone as far as saying, look, I also understand that I may be taking the food out of the mouths of another inmate. Lawyer
But-
says it's okay. I'll pay for him to stay. We'd rather he stays in.
You can pay accommodation.
And food.
Give us the bill.
We'll pay.
Full board. Per person sharing in
He
Kenya.
doesn't even... Literally. UPS.
Per person
He
sharing.
doesn't even want to stay with relatives, anything, anybody. So you can imagine, he's been there since 2018. All right? It's 2022. It's been 4 years in here. And you can imagine maybe threats or whatever that he's received and says, look, nah, man. I leave today, I'll be dead. So
So what does he know?
that's it.
Is he willing to testify and tell the court, this is what I know? I mean,
It'll probably be asked of him come the time the High Court then requests this.
Why
to
would
be
they
heard.
want to kill you?
Yeah, what do you know that
They arrested you, they didn't kill you. They brought you to court, they didn't kill you. The
You've
court
been attending trial.
The court put you in this prison. They haven't killed you, but if you come out, they'll kill you.
Yeah, strange. Yep. It's odd.
It's an odd one, that one. It is an odd one. Let's take a quick break. It's 6:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It is the Situation Room. It's Eric and Ndu. City is away. He's gone to Korea to get us the phones.
He's gone to do the business.
The new Samsung A series, A33, A53, and A73. They are basically cameras masquerading as phones. Beautiful. Good resolution. Today, the sunrise is beautiful from up here.
I'm telling you. amazing
It
to
just
see.
looks amazing. I'm just thinking, if we had those Samsung cameras.
Would have shown you the experience that we are currently experiencing right now.
Yes. And we will tell you more about these cameras and how Samsung cameras, which are called phones, and how you can even trade in your current phone and get a camera. And you can also use it to call and send messages and receive emails.
And send your pictures.
And edit your photos as well. 28 to 7.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Okay, so we're looking at a pickup of traffic on the Thika Superhighway, getting out then past the Utali Drift, out in that direction. Traffic is moving slowly into the city. Kiambu Road, we're also looking at some traffic that has started to build up inbound, coming out of Westlands. That started a while ago. This is Waiyaki Way that we're looking at going out towards Chiromo. Uhuru Highway is also building up here and there into the city, out towards Westlands. So everybody's going to meet in that general direction. Langata Road is not looking too bad right now. Mombasa Road as well. You should be able to get on it without too much of an issue at all. All right. Outer Ring, which is feeding off of North Airport Road today, is starting to build up as well. So a few minutes after 6:30, it hasn't really started. We're likely to see a pickup in a half hour. So we'll be right here to let you know what it looks like. You help us out as well. Tell us what you do know this morning. We'll let you know what's happening outside of the city as well. Let's talk. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Kenya's biggest conversation. It continues in the next hour. So, the ministry
Start again.
that is called the National Treasury and Planning.
Well done.
And the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, that is under that ministry, released Kenya's economic statistics yesterday. The Economic Survey 2021 showing various things. The economy has grown. The workers had the worst time of the year. Agriculture shrunk. We'll be looking at all these statistics in 7 to 8 o'clock hour, so we can look at each story, each sector by sector, and the impact that has had on our economy. All right? However, I have a story here that I'd like to highlight. Where is it? Surely. Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment.
Take all the time you need, Eric.
No. All the time I need maybe a lot. At the rate these things are going. It says, yes, here it is. This is a story about two girls, okay? Two siblings. They performed very well in the KCPE this year.
Mm-hmm.
One of them scored 413 marks. The other one got 378 marks. They have not yet joined Form 1 for lack of school fees. One of them, who's Lona Agape, who obtained 413, says, "This may be the end of the road for us. Our dreams will be shattered if we fail to get support. I felt happy after receiving admission letter from St. Bridget's Kiminini Girls. Her sister Anne Veronica is supposed to join Bishop Jenga Girls. Their parents Agri Akoyo and Pamela Akoyo are jobless, and they've been doing menial jobs in Kimbo, Lugari, Kakamega County to earn a living. The girls have applied for scholarships and bursaries unsuccessfully. We appeal for help. Agape wants to become a teacher, and Veronica wants to pursue nursing after completing secondary education. Brighton Kivutia, another student who scored 352 in 2020 and repeated Standard 8 in 2021 for lack of school fees, is not sure of joining Form 1 even this time for lack of fees. She scored 388 marks. Kivutia is expected to join Maseno School, or he is expected to join Maseno School, but his parents have no money to pay fees or buy the requirements. I appeal to well-wishers or government to help me continue with education and achieve my dream of becoming a doctor." His ailing father, John Simiyu, said the family had spent a lot of resources on his treatment. "We sold our property to meet medical expenses. Now there is nothing left." Jennifer Abwao, a teacher at Kivutia's former school, said the child was disciplined and is hardworking. Let's stay in Kakamega. The Standard newspaper found Lillian Karani stranded at an eatery that she runs, a Form 1 admission letter for her daughter Sylvia Akinyi in hand. At the next table in the small room where Karani operates the business was Akinyi, who sat her KCPE at Shirongo Primary School in Kakamega County. She scored 327 marks despite numerous challenges. Akinyi would have scored better had the situation at home been better. Musa Ndavane, her class teacher who told us of the eatery, said, "She's a very hardworking, bright and polite girl. She has endured a lot of difficulties in her home life, making do with the little that her mother can get from a small eatery business that's on its knees at Butali Market." The teacher said a determined Akinyi would walk 3 kilometers every morning to school and back in the evening. She comes from a poor and troubled background. I put her on a school feeding program to help her concentrate on studies. I also exempted her from most payments, and there were times I paid motorbike riders to take her home in the evening. This girl can do better if given a chance. We've been talking about this, about that transition.
Yep.
It's 100% transition. That's what the government says. Situation on the ground is completely different. There is a girl who passed and had gotten admission to Form 1, scoring 352, but she had to repeat Standard 8 because she could not afford to go to Form 1 last year. This year, she performs even better, gets 388 marks. She's sitting there wondering, okay, am I going to repeat again? This child who scored 413 marks. This is easily one of the highest marks in that entire constituency. We have a constituency development fund bursary. We have a county bursary. We have all these other things. And you're telling me that this girl has not reported to school for lack of school fees.
And there's no help that can be accorded her. Or there is not even an awareness that there are those within the county who need this kind of assistance. I'm sorry.
Imagine.
It is very, very difficult for me to reconcile that there are those who are genuinely needy, and are performing exceptionally well under said circumstances, but then they cannot get the help that they require. Something that is a right, it is a right in this country to be educated as a child. It's actually a right. We sometimes think about it as a privilege or a luxury. It is a right. that then government makes or takes all the steps it can to make sure that those rights are lived out in the lives of children. Without such, it's an abrogation of rights. It is. And there are provisions for it.
Yeah.
And it is in the same country where just yesterday IEBC tells us now politicians, same people living in this country, now you're free to spend as much as you like on elections.
In elections, splash the money.
Go ahead.
And none of them is going to splash the money to take these kids to school.
Same country, not a different one. Same time and space, existing in the same time and space.
I mean, what are these gaps? Because just like you're hearing from this Akinyi's head teacher, Mr. Musa Ndavane, he knows this child very well. He knows the child's background. He said, come, you'll be eating in school. He sends kids home because of not payment of some fee here or the other. He tells Akinyi, you don't go home. Stay here. I know you're bright. Just do your best. The teachers have done their best. This girl, Akinyi, has done her best. But even the teacher seems, this is the most I could do. Because the education system that has a bursary at the ministry that's called a presidential bursary, the teacher has no way of feeding information to the system so that they know that there's a child like this. There's a local CDF. The MP has no way of knowing there's a child like this. Or the local county. I mean, what are we talking about?
I'm sorry. I can't. I'm not able to put the two together. I cannot find a thread and say, okay, well, it's explicable because of this. I can't. I cannot put the two together. I can't. I don't know what would say that then would make it make sense. It really isn't anything. Because what are we talking about? How much are we talking about? For a child to go to Form 1, how much are we talking about? And you want to do that amount vis-a-vis, for example, what is being spent currently in the country. Currently. And that there are children who should be in school today and cannot. Because of what? 60,000 shillings in terms of school fees for a year?
Yeah.
For a year, Eric. Right? And then we're looking at the numbers that we talked about for them to go to school, 30,000 shillings for uniform and all of these things that they need. So give or take about 100,000 shillings for a Form 1 student to be in school for the year. And we're talking about the amount of money that's going to be splashed in this country now over the next 4 months. And they cannot afford to send children to school.
There's a very big disconnect, by the way. Just like Sabina was telling us the other day. So yes, there's 140 million shillings that goes to CDF into every constituency, right, across the country. There are some that have a higher need because of the population, because of the number of poor people, because of those that then need this bursary. If 30% is ring-fenced for bursaries, 30% is just about, 30 million shillings.
Yeah.
How many kids will it take
that
around?
gonna help?
So you find that the most a child will get is 8,000 bob as bursary. This 8,000 bob versus the demand from the schools of 40, 50,000 will not take this child to school. But the problem, though, for me, Ndu, is that these children are known. The education system knows these children, has a very easy way of identifying these children. They even have a nemesis. A head teacher can log in and say, this child, let's observe this child. This child will need support. So the bursary, the MPs can just be looking on a dashboard and seeing, I have X number of children who the community has identified and said, these ones are deserving of bursary. I have X number from the county, the governor can look and see. Magoha can go and tell the president, these are the kids that will need to support.
These are the kids that we should support. Then you can separate them and say, these are the kids we need to support anyway. These are the kids that we need to support who are doing exceptionally well, who have done exceptionally well. How about we boost them even further? There is nothing, and I can say it with my full chest, there is nothing that stops country. Because how many are we talking about? Let's even say there are 1,000. You mean to tell me that nothing can be done?
Let's even put it at 10% of the 1 million that's at KCPE, all right?
100,000 students who are in need of help.
Yep.
You mean to tell me that there's nothing special that can be done for these children from the state that ensures that they continue their education? Tell me something else.
Crap.
You tell me that it's going to snow in Nairobi today. Tell me something else.
You'd even believe that?
Not that you don't have money to send 100,000 children to school because they cannot afford it. No.
Meanwhile, the basic education PS, Dr. Julius Joan, is cautioning school principals against giving out Form 1 slots belonging to learners who have not reported. Because of 100% transition, schools shall not replace any student who fails to turn up until the CS Ministry of Education declares the exercise is over. Beneficiaries of Elimu scholarships should have their places reserved until they report. The details are contained in a circular dated May 4th and sent to all county directors of education. It's also copied to the Education CS, the Chief Administrative Secretary, the Chief Executive Officer, Teacher Service Commission, and Regional Directors of Education. The officials are directed to ensure the information is communicated to all schools countrywide. Why couldn't you do this, Dr. Joan, and just say, we'd like to know, so who are these that are going to benefit from the Elimu scholarship? This is a presidential one. Who's going to benefit from the CDF scholarship? Let's also just have I've always argued we should have one centralized portal. You are World Vision, you are KCB, you are Eric Latiff. If you'd like to support a child go to school, let all that be available.
One place. One place. One place. Because you can't convince me either that they are not those who are lords over these funds and are using them in a manner different from what they ought to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You can't.
Or some are just not actually aware of the exact situation. Those in dire need. When a child is repeating Standard 8 because she could not go to school, it's because that information did not go higher up. If the story of these two sisters is not highlighted in Standard Today and in other media, scoring 413 and 378, if it's not highlighted that these kids have actually secured slots in national schools and they're not going because parents can't afford.
Oh my God.
If it's not highlighted, that's how they end up repeating.
Can you imagine? A child is repeating Standard 8, not because she did not fare well, not because of anything. She didn't fail. They just did not
going back,
have the money to send her to Form 1.
Go to the back of the queue and try again. That's it. That's what you've just been told. You've come here, you've been told, we're closing for lunch. Go to the back of the queue, try again. Next year, maybe. You'll be lucky enough. Maybe Mungu atakuonekania. This is crap. Anyway, look at another story.
Bangi of the potent kind. And I was telling you about politicians now free to spend as they wish on campaigns.
Hey.
Yes, the Electoral Commission has suffered a setback in its bid to curb financial spending by political parties and individuals seeking elective positions after the High Court declined a sentimental poll that's going to come from people who have, there are some institutions that have just been where they are and add something to the life, socially, of a city that you take away. You are going to be met by backlash. You will be met by backlash whether you look at it, whichever way you choose to look at it.
But this is, I think, just a reaction without interrogating the facts. So, for instance, in this whole plan, relocation of the schools cannot start before 2030 because they have got to do a lot of work they're saying the plans to relocate Kisumu boys and Kisumu girls can only begin in 2030 with a technical committee that developed the proposals, stemming the process a long-term project.
I do get what he's saying because we're talking about in the city centre.
And it's not 1 or 2 acres, man.
No. If you're in Kisumu, right in the CBD. So imagine if you're in Nairobi and right there at Ambassador, there is a boys' high school.
There is
not
one.
Too far from there.
There's Moi Primary.
Moi Primary School, okay, sure.
Moi Avenue Primary School is right there. I mean, that school, okay. First of all, access for kids to get into the school. There's Slip Road on one side, there's Moi Avenue on one side, there's Globe Cinema roundabout on the other side. It's basically just right smack there in the middle of all the noise from Globe Cinema, which is a bus stop, all the noise from Moi Avenue. I mean, you even ask yourself, okay, so
how
this
do these
school really,
students learn?
There's another school, St. Peter Clavers, right smack in the middle of the CBD, the Ronald Ngala Street.
Yes.
Where matatus just come and make all the loudest noise. There's a school there. Relocate that school, Buana.
Yeah, so relocate that school so that you have adequate learning facility for the students. But in this case, what Nyang was saying in Kisumu is not necessarily because it is affecting the learners negatively. It's so that you can do something
utilize
else.
this piece of land and let's also benefit the children. For me, by the way, it makes sense.
It does make sense to me. It's just that you're going to have to, again, deal with the social and sentimental pull that comes with having right there in Kisumu, the girls and boys high school. I mean, it's a thing of you wear the stripes with honor that you went to the school in the middle of the CBD, and then they're going to move it. It does something, man.
The time when some people were going to that school in the middle of the CBD, it wasn't
exactly what I was going to say.
Today.
By the time, for example, in Nairobi, when Moy Avenue Primary School or when St. Peter's Clavers was being put up, you didn't have the movement of persons that you do today. You know, the percentages were really low.
Yeah, it's totally different. Yeah. We'll get to a point where Upper Hill School will have to be moved. Because the CBD is moving to Upper Hill. Okay, so how do you protect Upper Hill School from noise? Unless we start the plans today to say we are going to protect everything else that comes up around Upper Hill School. Has to factor in the fact that this is a school. It's a learning institution. At some point, we will need to do that.
I agree. I think it will be difficult decisions to make. It will be a change, of course, is never really always welcome by anybody. But I think when you look at the greater good of community and society, then it makes sense. Whether we're looking at learning activities, I mean, there have been many things that have come as a result of Kisumu boys and girls being right in the middle of the city. Many social ills have come about. Many people have complained about the affinity for students to disappear over the fence because you could do so really quickly and you're in the CBD. Many things have been said. So overall, it could be something that makes sense. It will be very important that the way they went about it then was caution, so that they did not, number one, step on anybody's toes, and then made people see the value in such a move. So, you know, how you go about it is really important now.
It's how you deal with it, right?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, one more story.
Again, how the state can make things just a little bit easier for folks. The state is going to contribute, guess how much? 25 billion shillings to civil servants in their pension scheme. And we just need 100,000 students to be supported to go to Prime Form 1. The government is set to contribute 25.8 billion to civil servants through the Public Service Superannuation Scheme, the PSSSS, in the financial year starting July. This will see the total pension rising from 171 billion in the financial year 22-23 up to 153.6 billion in the current year, on increase in both ordinary and commuted pension payments. The government in January last year rolled out the pension scheme for civil servants to start contributing to their own pensions. The rollout of the scheme ended a 9-year wait as the Treasury faced opposition in its bid to deduct a portion of pay from civil servants to start this many S's. Unlike private sector workers, civil servants had been drawing their pension directly from taxes in what has increased annual pension spending on the exchequer due to a growing civil service and high rate of retirement. So this has been a long time coming. Government finally releasing some money for folks to be able to dip later in life.
So this issue of, I think, government and pensions, remember, government even extended the retirement age because it was looking at a growing pension bill.
Right.
So all those retiring civil servants, and the government now needs to still put in a budget for pension. It's a big issue. Anyway, it's okay.
It's okay.
Let's talk about those counties that have been benefiting from water, courtesy of Colgate and Well Boring.
90 water wells already been sunk in the country, and several counties have been able to benefit from this. Now, Colgate, together with Well Boring, have said, let us sink some more water wells in the country. 30 more water wells earmarked to be sunk by the end of this calendar year. And we can all help in this. Buy Colgate exclusively at Naivas, and 10 shillings from every Colgate pack you buy will go towards sinking 30 new water wells around the country, so that 120,000 more Kenyans in 7 counties can access clean water.
Indeed. Keep it here for more conversations coming up. Andrew Franklin says, move University of Nairobi. Indeed. In fact, this is a conversation that has been had before.
It has.
This University of Nairobi, See, it can move. It'll still be in University of Nairobi.
Move it.
Matiang'i said, let's move Committee and Langata Prison and Langata Women Prison. Let's just move them.
People started shouting, no, we want our prisoners in the city. We want our prisoners near us. Okay.
Move Industrial Remand Prison. Move it. Why must they be here? Anyway, keep it here for more conversations. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. It's Eric and Ndu this morning. It's 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is Newsline Dennis Aseto. As the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party continues to deal with the big question on who will deputize its presidential candidate Raila Odinga, Jubilee Party has endorsed former Gatanga MP Peter Kenneth and Murang'a woman Representative Sabina Chege for consideration. In a notice by the party's election board chairperson Stephen Wandeto, the President Uhuru Kenyatta-led party presented the two names to the coalition as it settles to seek a running mate to Raila Odinga, who is the coalition's flag bearer. These as KANU party leader Gideon Moi endorsed Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka for the same position, terming him the most suitable to deputize Odinga ahead of the August polls. Candidates being considered for the deputy president's post under an Odinga presidency had earlier been directed to appear before the panel for vetting. The decision has since been rescinded. The Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission had directed that presidential aspirants submit their running mates by May 16th. So far, only the Roots Party presidential aspirant Professor George Wajakoya has unveiled his running mate. Meanwhile, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has maintained that he is the most suitable candidate to deputize Odinga and further maintained that he will not honor the interview. The panel of eminent persons seeking Odinga's running mate held its inaugural meeting and named former cabinet minister Noah Wekesa as its chairperson, who made the announcement. The committee, however, warned that it will only consider nominations from parties in the coalition. And still on matters politics, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga is calling on his United Democratic Alliance counterpart William Ruto to henceforth stop berating the government or step down from the deputy president's post. The ODM leader charged that Ruto has no moral authority to find fault in the Jubilee administration, which serves as one of its highest-ranking officials. He wondered why the DP was quick to disparage the government's performance when he continues to draw salary and allowances courtesy of his position as deputy president. The former prime minister is adamant that Ruto must henceforth cease fighting the government if he is unwilling to relinquish his DP's post. Raila made the remarks during his Meet the People tour of Nyandarua and Nakuru counties, where he called on the area residents to rally behind his bid to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. This as Deputy President William Ruto challenged his opponents to focus on finding solutions to the challenges facing ordinary Kenyans instead of being preoccupied with apportioning political positions. He said the August general election will offer Kenyans an opportunity to elect a government that is sensitive to their needs as opposed to one that is after changing the constitution to create power for a few at the top. Now, the Central Organization of Trade Union Secretary General Francis Atwoli now wants Labour Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui relieved of his duties over alleged blatant disregard of a presidential directive. Atwoli is up in arms over what he termed as a decision by Chelugui to openly disobey an order from the head of state during Labour Day celebrations, directing him to gazette the appointment of Rose Omamo to the National Social Security Fund Board by close of business Wednesday this week. The court boss accused Chelugui alongside the Labour Principal Secretary of defiance and contempt of the office of the President by failing to act as directed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. This as the Cabinet Secretary for Labour, Simon Chelugui, now says allegations by the Central Organization of Trade Union Secretary General Francis Atwoli to the effect that he refused to gazette the appointment of Rose Omamo to the National Social Security Fund NSSF board as ordered by the President are untrue. Instead, Chelugui, who was directed by the head of state to confirm Omamo's position, says he had already acted on the order issued by President Uhuru Kenyatta during the Labour Day celebrations. While responding to Atwoli's calls to have him dismissed over alleged defiance and contempt of the office of the President, Chelugui was categorical that he had no reason to disregard or disobey the president's directive. Now, the High Court has dismissed a petition by former nominated Senator Paul Njoroge seeking to postpone the August 9th election to next year. In a 67-page petition, the former nominated senator further pointed out that President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto were sworn into office on November 28, 2017, and by holding the next election on August 9th, they will not have completed their 5-year constitutional term. Justice Anthony Mrima ruled that elections are a historical event clearly stipulated in the Constitution to be held on the second Tuesday in the month of August. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, a few minutes after 7 o'clock. What is it looking like on the streets this morning? The sun is up and we're not going to see too many slippery roads. Traffic is building up on Mombasa Road today. We're going towards North Airport Road and it's really heavy going in an easterly direction. And we're also seeing some traffic then this side of Mombasa Road as you're getting towards General Motors. But again, you can get through without too much of a problem today. Just at that Imara Manuk, there is some inbound traffic as well. All right, on Jogo Road this morning, getting out into the city, we're seeing some traffic there. Landy's out towards Kamkunji. Langata Road is picking up here and there slowly. Stretches of traffic, but it's moving. We're not at bumper to bumper yet. Where we are at bumper to bumper, however, is on the Thika Superhighway, just towards the Italy Drift, and then coming off of Kiambu Road in and outbound. On Limuru Road as well, we'll see some traffic there. Ring Road Western's piling up as well. Traffic continues. Traffic hour not yet, but looks like we're getting into it early. Let's talk, guys. SpiceFM. KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up,
It is 7
not
minutes
down.
after 7 on the
This
6th
is
day
the
of
Situation
March
Room.
2022, Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. It continues. It's Eric and Ndu. CT is away. He'll be back on Monday. So I've got the proverb, and it's what do you say? Lesotho.
The people from Lesotho are called what?
Lesothis. What are they called?
That's an interesting question. I'll find out in a minute and tell you.
Check as I tell you the proverb from Lesotho. When a ripe fruit sees an honest man, it drops. When a ripe fruit sees an honest man, it drops.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. It's like, this one, I want to be eaten by this one. This one, he's worth my juices.
Yeah, it's true. The fruit speaks.
Okay. The fruit
This
is the one.
Power.
The same way, that honest man is out there looking for a good, ripe fruit.
Okay.
So it's competition. Have you found
Yes.
people of Lesotho are called?
Amosoto.
Amosoto.
Yeah. The people from Lesotho are called Amosoto.
Uh-huh.
Collectively, they're called Basoto.
Mm-hmm.
And the native language is Sesotho.
Okay.
So one person from Lesotho is called Amosoto.
Amosoto.
All of them are called Basoto.
Uh-huh.
And they all speak Sesotho.
Sesotho.
They are from
Lesotho. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Ati Amasoto, Basoto, Sesotho,
Lesotho.
Lesotho. Okay. Good one. The headline in the Standard today, and a lot of coverage given on page 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, is on the economic survey that was released yesterday by the CS for National Treasury and Planning, Okoh Attorney. He launched 16 reports, including the analytical report on economic survey and the 2019 Kenya Population and Housing Census Survey. All right. All these reports now consolidated, coming out yesterday. Highlights of this: Kenya's economy grew in 2021 by 7.5%, up from a negative 0.3% the rate had shrunk in 2020 because, obviously, of COVID. So last year, the economy had a serious and proper rebound. A 7.5% growth is not a bad thing, considering that the highest that we've seen is about 8.3 in the last 9 years. Another big issue here is cement production and consumption rose by 9.1 million tons, which is a 23% jump in 2021, showing that the construction sector and the real estate sector was growing. Increase in international visitor arrivals, 871,300 in 2021 compared to 579,000 in 2020. If you look at the number of people who visited our national parks, 2020, we had 1 million people going to the national parks. 2021, 1.5 million people going to national parks. Newly registered motor vehicles, up by 14.2%. Kenyans were bought more cars 2021, 107,499 new vehicles in the country last year. A growth in the manufacturing sector of 6.9% compared to negative 0.4% in 2020. Formal jobs in this sector rose by 6.7% to hit 338,000 in 2021. The value of imports in 2021 increased to 2.15 trillion shillings, up from 1.64 trillion shillings. However, there were some negatives. One of the negatives is, remember when in 2020, the agricultural sector is the one that was basically holding on up the economy, propping the economy. It had a 0.2% decline from 5.2% of 2020 due to poor rainfall. So all these are the highlights, okay? And let's look at them in greater detail.
Sure.
Pick one of the stories.
Okay. So, worst year for workers, even as the economy bounces back. We're looking at this, but it's interesting because even through all of this, Nairobi emerges the richest county. Marsabit records the fastest growth. The country's contribution, and we're looking at this collective stories taken from the Economic Survey 2021, right? The county's contribution, to the country's gross domestic product has, however, stagnated at 26%, almost 10 years since devolution kicked in. Kiambu, Mombasa, Nakuru, and Machakos counties rounded up the top 5 richest counties. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, which indicates that a majority of the counties are still struggling to build their local agricultural and manufacturing sectors a decade after devolution. The latest GDP report released alongside the Economic Survey yesterday indicates that Nairobi's contribution to the country's gross domestic product has been at 26% since the onset of devolution in 2013. We know that one of the tenets of devolution actually is to increase wealth in the pockets of the country, because then now there are things that come in, that factors that play, like own source revenue and things like that. Because you have a smaller space in terms of jurisdiction, you then have control about income that you can now bring in. Nairobi has not moved since 2013, has remained at the same place that it was, even with devolution. So when you're looking at devolution as a factor to increase jurisdictional wealth, that has not happened for this county. If anything, it has remained where it was. Kiambu, Mombasa, Nakuru, and Machakos rounded up the top 5 richest counties, recording 553 billion, 467 billion, 480 billion, and 313 billion in respectively in 2020. On the other hand, Isiolo, Samburu, Tana River, Lamu, and Wajir counties emerged as the poorest, contributing 26, 29, 29, 32, and 49 billion respectively. The bottom 10 counties in terms of contribution were majorly those in arid and semi-arid areas. This does not come as a big surprise, where the main economic activity is animal production. And of course, now, if you're in an arid area, your main economic activity is animal production. You don't have enough to feed your animals on. You don't have enough to water your animals. The likelihood of you then contributing is very, very low.
Yep.
It just is clear. Output recorded from other sectors like agriculture and manufacturing were almost insignificant. The top 5 counties accounted for 46.9% of the gross value add, while the top 10 counties contributed to 59% of the same. According to the KNBS, 33 out of 47 counties accounted for less than 2% of the 197 billion each in their contribution to the economy. So, I mean, if you look at the broad statements that are being made here, essentially we're being told that in terms of growth, counties haven't really moved in the last 10 years. And one of the things that was supposed to be almost guaranteed to happen because of devolution was that you would see these regions, now having been broken up into the 47, would then be able to spur economic activity, spur economic growth, and then, ramp up some points on the wealth index.
Although there's some good news, though. There's some good news, though. If you look at the fastest growing counties, those are the counties that are hitherto considered rural counties. Marsabit was ranked the fastest growing with 7.2% growth in GCP in 2014 and 2019, much higher than the country's 4.6% average recorded over the same period. If you look at Elgeyo Marakwet, Mandera, Samburu, and West Pokot, rounded up the top 5 fastest growing counties. If you look at those ones that are fastest growing, according to KNBS, agricultural counties like Bomet, Kericho, Murang'a, Trans Nzoia, Nyandarua, and Elgeyo Marakwet registered larger economic output than those that rely heavily on other activities such as are less significant economically.
Right.
So there's some positive thing that is showing you that, other activities, because of focus or localized focus in those counties, they're growing. Counties with vibrant commercial urban centers outperform those with predominantly rural settings, with the exception of Meru, Kakamega, and Nyeri, that are benefiting from a heavy wide range of economic activities, as well as counties rich in agricultural production. So there's one side of it that is showing, yes, at least there's some slight movement. And then there's the other that asks you, but is this a movement that we should have expected to see from these counties?
I think the expectation, Eric, was that it would be higher than this. Look, I mean, we cannot say that the demerits outweigh the merits of devolution. But in terms of what devolution was supposed to deliver, over 10 years, for example, and we're now coming closer and closer to the 10th year in completion, with what it was supposed to have delivered, having, mapped out these areas, that we've seen growth for sure. You've seen that people have been able to move from Nairobi, for example, back home because of devolution and spur up the activities, much like what we see happening in Marsabit, for example, right? But then in terms of growing wealth that then is self-sustainable and then getting counties to be self-sufficient, has it happened in the manner that was expected? And unfortunately, the answer is no. Does that mean you should chuck it out the window? I personally don't think so. I think, you can cross your T's and dot your I's and, tighten things here and there, and you probably get better output. But looking at the last 10 years, in terms of what it should have done for these areas.
Maybe you also then look at, okay, so in the last 10 years, what exactly has happened? Is there movement in terms of economic activity that's coming into these counties? That is not just traditionally, okay, so this is an agricultural area, so most of the economic activity is coming from agriculture, and is there anything else? And I think there's an expansion of that. Secondly, if you look at the entire structure, if we look economically at the national level, what are these effects? What is it that has impacted economic growth? We can see the driver for economic growth is manufacturing. We can see the driver for economic growth has been agriculture, but it is shrinking. So when you have these climatic conditions changing, the majority of the counties that are agriculture based are bound to get impacted. And their expansion into growing the other activities in the county that would help them grow it's taking place, but not as fast because of the impact of this.
Sure.
If you look at what, for example, the CS was saying, we have realized that the county and municipal councils in the past were in many ways generating more revenue internally than the current county governments. The current county governments have better capacity, infrastructure, and the necessary resources and skills. Unfortunately, because of certain inefficiencies and the fact that they get resources from the national government, they have relaxed and are hardly collecting enough. So they're not being able to collect their own source revenues, and therefore it is also slowing down their own growth.
Sure.
The national government is not bringing in money as it should be bringing money efficiently. It's not bringing in money timely. So that is also impacting the implementation of the county development plans.
I agree. I really think, however, that the spectrum of own source revenue in counties is extremely wanting. That it cannot be that you depend on licenses, for example, collection from business, and that is what you call own source revenue. I think there are very few counties who've been able to do extra then so that you have more money coming into the county, you know, the likes of Machakos and Kitui. And
they say Embu had the largest growth in local revenue.
Right. So are there things that counties can actually do to increase income at a county level? And I think yes. I do agree that in the beginning of devolution, everybody was just trying to figure out what was going on and get their wits about. I fully understand that. But then as time progresses, then there is the need to see, all right, you do have support from national government, but where has the attention been? There has been the scrambling for the 300 plus billion that would be coming from national treasury to then spread out to the counties, right? Between 316, 357, whatever it was. But should that be the focus? Because what you're almost doing is that you've almost federalized the country with the county system, right? With devolution. So you've made these counties autonomous in the way in which they operate, but you're still saying our lifeline is at the treasury. Our lifeline is national. And I'm saying that in order to survive, in order to make this thing actually, we don't have these disparities that we see today, there has got to be attention that is paid to what can be generated in county to make sure that you're dependent on your income. It's got to be the conversation moving forward. Unless, if you're not going to do that, then you might as well go back to a centralized system.
One of the things that the formula by CRA was doing is it was looking at various indices. All right, so how are you doing in terms of health? How are you doing in terms of education in your county? Not education, health, agriculture. How are you doing in terms of on-source revenue? And that should determine how much you receive
Indeed.
in the county allocation of revenues, right? So if counties, because I think counties are not really interested in enhancing efficiency in on-source revenue collections. They know they can. They want that chaos so that the political heads of these counties can get away with just collecting and not under declaring. How much we are told that is being collected in Nairobi versus how much is actually being collected. There are very many people who argue that those two are different figures. A new governor will come in. So whoever is going to be governor next time, whether it's going to be Polycarp Igathe or Johnson Sakaja, the first thing that you'll see them doing in the first 100 days is bragging how they have sealed loopholes and increased
and collections
daily
have increased.
Revenue collections. And it'll be like, really? And then after some time, that story will be forgotten. They are collecting much more than they're declaring. And it appears to me that counties do not really want to enhance efficiency in on-source revenue collection.
No,
because money is coming from the national government anyway.
This is it.
What we are collecting here, I am eating anyway. What's the problem?
But look at the science of it. If you know at the back of your head, right, that I will always have this big brother kitty of the National Treasury that I can rely on, do you think that it is going to spur on any creativity within you to start to come up with ways upon which the county can be self-sustaining? You won't. Because, at the end of the day, I'm going to receive my 100 billion, from National Treasury, and I'll be all right. You see? And so then where is the need to start to think about ways in which you can sustain yourself. And I'm saying, here it is, right here. This survey, if anything, has shown, come on, guys, you're not anywhere different, except for some counties where you've seen movement of the economy, where people have moved back to Marsabit, as an example, and started to build industry, and have started to work, and have started to build school, and started to do supplies and things like that. How much more could it be? How much more could it be? So that you see what comes from National Treasury as a complement to what it is that you're doing. As a complement to what it is that you're doing. Not that you rely on it completely. We have many times that we had conversations here with governors who tell us, well, you know what? Things are now at a standstill because we've not received the money from the National Treasury. And, you know, it's our be all and end all. We don't receive it, nobody is going to work. The county is at a standstill. And I'm saying it ought not to be that way. The very fact that you decentralized operations means that also you decentralized where the money is coming from. So you spread it out and let it come from different places. But you'll find that there is no will to be creative about how you can have your own sources of income.
It's a tricky balance, though. If you increase the number of pockets where you're getting the money from as a county, you're basically increasing taxation. And remember, the national government already has a taxation policy. They have already announced, we are collecting consumption tax here at VAT. We are collecting excise. We are collecting all these things at national level. So you as a county government, if you start now levying more, you are likely to burden the people and get some backlash. So there's a striking of a balance. Enhance efficiency on what you are able to collect.
And honesty.
Enhance that. Because if you say that, among the things that we have in our CIDP is creating more markets, okay? If you have that economic activity, more markets, more people trading in the market, then you're able to collect more. If you look at the national infrastructural programs, they've brought in, for example, let's look at Marsabit, for instance, new road that now takes Marsabit and makes Marsabit closer. So coming from Nanyuki, from Isiolo to Marsabit is much easier. So when you see petroleum product going to Nanyuki so they can serve that region, it means that they're getting to Marsabit to Moyale.
Yes.
At the top of the country much faster. So that would also spur economic growth slowly by slowly. However, if you enhanced that service delivery, if you enhanced efficiency in delivering of service, then you'll be able to collect more. But I think those are where now, maybe this is the learning curve of the 10 years of devolution, seeing what's working, what's not working, what's burning, what's not burning, what's moving, what's not moving.
Sure. It would be an eyesore to see that another 5 years into devolution, for example, that these same issues are the ones that counties are facing. It really shouldn't be, because one would argue that 10 years is more than enough time to be able to figure out where the issues are. Can you tighten efficiency? Absolutely.
Yep.
Have we seen it work? Yes, we have. Okay, so I agree. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel with what you have, why not make it better and tighten all your screws and make sure that you are doing the maximum with what you actually have? And I think there is laxity, there is lack of goodwill to be able to see that actually done, because that means that you're going to have to be very if there's such a thing as very transparent about exactly what is going on when it comes to collections. Because they do make staggering amounts of money from these collections. But like you say, we don't really know how much it really is.
How much is actually collected? We don't know.
Yeah.
If you look at the various places that you go to across the country and you find a cess collection point, those guys in yellow jackets, and they have just like a receipt book. You don't even know whether this is a real receipt book.
The county receipt book of their own.
It's a fake receipt book.
Yeah.
How much do those individuals then go to declare at the end of the day? How is the county able to tell how many trucks passed that cess collection point and how much was collected? Can you tell? No, you can't. Is it easy? Is it possible for a county government to make sure that they actually have an electronic system at the cess collection point? Of course. But do they want to do it? No. It starts from as basic things as that. Kenya's biggest conversation. We are looking at the Economic Survey 2021, what was released yesterday by the CS for National Treasury and Planning from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the figures of the economic performance in the country. So yes, Kenya's economy grew by 7.5%. That's the GDP in 2021. This makes our national cake valued at 12.1 trillion shillings last year from a 10.8 trillion shilling economy in 2020. This is what President Uhuru Kenyatta was saying the other day. Look, I inherited an economy from my predecessor, President Mwai Kibaki. I am handing over an economy at 12.1%, 13 trillion shilling economy to the next president. Look, man, you're saying we haven't done work. We have done quite a bit. Let's look at more of these stories and various other sectors after we take this quick break. Kenya's biggest conversation, talking about Samsung.
How about you take your awesome to a new level with the new A series of A33, A53 and A73, taking your awesome game that much higher with these excellent cameras with great megapixels in terms of numbers and things that you can capture on a daily basis, and you can do it for 2 days running without even charging your battery because of the long battery life of the Samsung. Hey, and guess what? You know how you can be really excited, you're taking pictures, what activity, then you drop your phone 3 days after you've bought it and your screen cracks. Kadoosh. You know what? You can go to the Samsung Care Support Center within a year, right? And they ascertain that this, you pay the little service fee. It's like really nominal compared to how much you would pay for the cracked screen.
For replacement.
And they're going to replace your screen for free, my friend.
So within a year, you've got like a year warranty on your screen. Hey.
You know the price of the screen is the same as the price of the phone.
It's the price of that calf that has been named Ndu. Surely. So you actually just go to the care center and present your phone.
You present your phone having been cracked plus your little sheet of paper, whatever, stating when you bought your phone, and they're going to fix your screen for free. So you can continue with your selfie game and keep it up to those levels.
Great. Check them out. Go to a Samsung store and check them out. Samsung A33, A53, A73, the brand new A series. And you can go in and also trade in your old Samsung phone. You go with your J series, your older A series with the others. Just go talk to those guys and they'll tell you, oh yeah, for this one, watu ni kuongea.
Kuongea tu.
Watu ni kuongea. We lete simu tuone. 7:30. Good morning.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Brought to you by Colgate.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Did it really happen if you didn't take a pic? Capture every moment with the new Galaxy A range. The Galaxy A33 5G comes with a 48 megapixel camera and a 2-day battery.
Forgiveness is always conditional. Even before God, there's nothing like unconditional forgiveness.
Government doesn't pay you pension until you retire. In fact, they have no money for you. The day you retire, they look for it.
This country is punishing many young people. These young people are more susceptible to be deceived, to be taken advantage of, and they're more susceptible to be bought off.
Let us also talk about where we want our country to go. You know, we are a population of very young people.
We're in a state of capture. The judiciary is under duress. Parliament is in the pocket of the executive. You don't sit and wait for the regime to topple itself. It will never do so.
By the way, let me tell you, these guys are so persuasive. I'm telling you, they can persuade you to sell your grandmother. I'm telling you, they can sell sand in the desert.
City, has anybody on this program said to you as a guest, saying, "Oh, shut up, we don't want to be told what to do"? Has you ever that kind of... Has anybody been
I will not listen.
bit of advice? Because you're working on the premise that we should...
The sun is out in Nairobi at 16. We'll see highs of 23 today and lows of 15. It's mostly cloudy at 16 in Nakuru. Highs of 24 and lows of 14. And we're looking at cloudy conditions in Nyeri this morning at 16. Highs of 23 and lows of 14. And a low of 13 in Eldoret today. It's currently 14 degrees. Sunny here and there. Highs of 24. Light rain in Mombasa at 24 now. Highs of 30. And we'll see highs of 30 where rain showers happening in Malindi as well, currently at 26. Partly sunny conditions at 19 in Kisumu, highs of 28 and lows of 19, while Kakamega is sunny at 19 with highs of 27 today. Out in Kampala, Mostly cloudy conditions at 21, highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 30 in a sunny Dar es Salaam at 24. It's 11 degrees and clear in Johannesburg. We'll see highs of 22, and we'll see highs of 31 where it's now raining in Lagos at 25. 22 and heavy thunderstorms in Kinshasa, highs of 33 and lows of 22.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise.
You're listening to Spice FM.
All right, we're well into traffic hour. Started a few minutes ago. Really heavy on the on Outer Ring today. Coming off North Airport Road, that nook has been really busy today. We're looking at outbound traffic on Mombasa Road at around Imara Daima. There's that little construction site. So you're coming off from Enterprise Road. You're coming off from the Greater Mombasa Road. You will be blocked off from turning in there. There've been those demarcations that have been put there, so that's going to cause some traffic. Hopefully be removed as soon as possible. Okay, coming out of Westlands, there's some traffic as well. Okay, so let's just come back before we get to Westlands. Uhuru Highway, going off towards the city. Langata Road connecting with that. Coming out of Nairobi West, South Sea, that whole area is really chock-a-block this morning. And we're looking at back-to-back, bumper-to-bumper traffic. Also on Jogo Road today, really all the way from Hamza out towards the Sisi Stadium roundabout. It's jam-packed completely. In the CBDs where all roads lead today, coming in from the thicker superhighway, really heavy. So traffic hour has begun, folks. Let's see what's happening where you are. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Everything nice.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4
All right, 24
Spice
minutes
FM,
to 8.
Nairobi.
This biggest conversation continues looking at the economic survey, the numbers. Kisiis migrate to other counties more, and Nairobi is the town of choice. More people are moving out of Kisii than in any other county in the country in search of greener pastures. Our producer's name is... Data from the latest economic service reports show 140,434 individuals had migrated from the county. 140,000 people left Kisii last year.
100 and what?
40,000 people.
How many people are in Kisii? Is anybody left?
This is opposed to 44,000 who settled in the county, causing a negative net figure of migration of 96,000 people. Only 44,000 people went to Kisii. 140,000 people left.
What's happening?
This indicates that of all the counties, Kisii is leading with the highest frequency of individuals leaving than those going in. The same was witnessed in Kakamega, with a negative impact of 95,000 due to out-migration. Kakamega County is, however, leading in terms of the absolute number of those migrating out of the county, with 185,886. So there are actually even more people living in Kakamega County.
I'm wondering why.
These two counties are followed by Bungoma with a negative out-migration of 72,000 and Kitui with 72,000 as well. Tana River has the least negative net migration of 545 people, with Embu the least positive net migration of 185 people. This means that the number of persons migrating in and out of these two counties is more or less equal. The imbalance in out-migration seems to be witnessed in more counties along the western region, where Kakamega and Bungoma fall. Apart from these two, there's also Vihiga, Busia, and Siaya and Homa Bay. Of the 47 counties, Nairobi is the most preferred county for in-migration. Nairobi, Kisumu, Nakuru, Kiambu, Uasin Gishu, Kajiado, Machakos, and Mombasa are where people are going to.
I'm wondering if the
Nairobi got 641,000 new people.
New people. And okay, so several things here. Are people leaving and coming back?
Nope.
are people
It's not that you're coming in for Christmas.
all right, not traveling, right?
Mm.
So people are, and I'm
It's
wondering
migration.
what the reasons are: migration for work, migration for better opportunities.
It's mostly that.
And so that's what it is.
Yes.
And where they are going, as we're seeing, people are still coming to Nairobi, which
Yes.
makes it very clear that folks are looking for the metropolis.
Yep.
The metropolitan experience in terms of job seeking and livelihoods is top notch, or rather top of the agenda for most people who may be in rural urban setting, even urban rural, because you cannot say, because we have growing towns in the country. Kakamega, Kisii, Mandera, we just heard, Marsabit, Nakuru, Kiambu, Wasingishu, Kajiado, Machakos. They're growing. Some of them, the dormitory towns of Nairobi.
Yep.
However, you still find that people want to come here because there's still the notion, whether it is disguised or whether it is not true, something totally different, that the opportunities that Nairobi presents, because of the fact that it is metropolitan, is
and also,
attractive to people.
Also, what we were discussing before is an addition to this. Nairobi is still the biggest contributor into Kenya's into GDP. So a lot of the economic activity is happening in Nairobi. So you'll find that when we even say that people are coming to Nairobi and Machakos and Kajiado, they are going to Kitengela, to Ongata Rongai, which is Kajiado, but they're just dormitory towns of Nairobi.
Yes.
Similar thing we'll say about Machakos County.
Yeah.
We'll say about Kiambu County. There are people who have come, they work in Nairobi, they live in Ndegwa. The Ndegwa, just down Kiambu Road, is in Kiambu County. So it's basically Nairobi that's just the magnet. It has been like this since independence. However, the fact that we are seeing other counties also, Nairobi and Mombasa have been the main ones, but Nairobi, in terms of out-migration, is still also leading. Some 411,000 people left Nairobi last year. Retirement, they got jobs in the counties, they got better opportunities in those counties, they decided they're going to live in Ongata Rongai for good. And not associate with Nairobi anymore. So they moved into Kajiado, they moved into Kitengela, they moved into whatever.
The experience of COVID also, I think, contributed to this quite some, because there are very many stories of individuals who left Nairobi.
Right.
You can imagine people who were in the service industry or the entertainment industry, and suddenly people were not allowed to meet anymore, and so that brought an end to their work or their business abruptly. And there are very many people who moved. I mean, I know about, if I'm to count, 15 people who left. I mean, I know people who used to work in Nairobi have moved to Ukunda, for example. People who used to work in Nairobi and have moved into Kiambu County and have settled there. People who've moved west, gone into Kisumu, settled, moved into Nakuru, moved into Naivasha, moved into other areas, Limuru, Tigoni, have moved into those areas because Nairobi just was not doing it anymore because of the entertainment industry and the service industry having collapsed. So I think you also find, if you're going to say that what you need is that you need the mushrooming of development in other cities or other towns to build up their profile, sometimes it happens as a result of an accident or as a result of a pandemic. So people find the option somewhere else and they say, "Hell, actually, you know what? We can do this.
Let's start doing this here," and then they develop.
And they develop. That's how it happens. That's how it happens. Can the country rely on Nairobi? I don't think so. Can the country rely on Nairobi for the next 50 years the way it has on the last 50? And I don't think so. That there has got to be a spread of the quote-unquote economic responsibility on other parts of the country to accommodate its people.
Let's also look at some of these counties. If you look at these leading counties in out-migration, Kisii, Kakamega, Vihiga, Busia, you also look at the land pressure and a growing population. So there's growing population in Kisii County. There's resultant land pressure in Kisii County. And then people would definitely move out to look for other opportunities. And they're looking for opportunities in terms of, all right, so how much can we subdivide this land?
Sure.
And how beneficial is it going to be for us economically the further we subdivide? So sell this one acre here and you can go and buy 3 acres somewhere else. And that's why you find, for example, we saw during the escalation of conflict in Laikipia, very many Kisis found in Laikipia County. It's because of that. It's because if I sell an acre here in Kisii, I can go to another county and buy 5 acres with the same amount of money. So, I mean, I think land pressure is also a contributing factor to this out-migration from these counties.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't run away from that reality. Should there be, as you think about it, Eric, should there be a push then by national government to make for the insistence on development of other towns? I think about, I think about a lot of cities in West Africa. I think about Nigeria, whereby Lagos for the longest time, I mean, you're looking at a city of 15 million people strong, right? The pressure on Lagos commercially, and then as well as the administration capital, was immense for so long for a country whose population was building at an alarming rate, growing at an alarming rate year on year. National government said, stop it right now, because this will burst. You've got a port city, it's a commercial capital, it's the administrative capital. They literally built Abuja in the middle of the country because of this and said, let us move these operations to ease the pressure on Lagos. And what you had is that you then had, I mean, Abuja is still young. Abuja is less than 50 years old. You then had a city that then invited other people by virtue of the fact that the administration had its center there. And then because of that, you had other small towns that, because then Abuja did not have its own agriculture, for example. Abuja did not have its own supplies. So it then forced other cities or other small towns in the area of Abuja to mushroom around it and start to build around because of a direct saying, you got to remove. And I think there's a lot of pressure on Nairobi right now to say, you know what, you're feeding in terms of economic profile the country. You're feeding then in terms of GDP. From Nairobi, you have international headquarters, we have international organizations which are headquartered in Nairobi. All of this in Nairobi. Meanwhile, you have very many options around the country that can take off some of this pressure.
And I think if you look at what has been happening in the last, say, 10, 15, 20 years, there's been a move towards this. First of all, reclassification of the Nairobi metropolitan region.
Right.
And unfortunately, with the coming of devolution, and now, of course, the governor of Machakos and the governor of Kajiado and the governor of Kiambu and the governor of Murang'a and the governor of Nakuru and Nyandarua feel they need to be consulted. But if you think about the Nairobi Metropolitan and what it is that we'd be talking about expanding even the boundaries of the city, expanding and looking at proper master planning of Nairobi and Kajiado and Machakos and Kiambu and Murang'a, so that as Nairobi expands, these planned developments are taking place. Now, the kind of development that we are seeing mushrooming in Kajiado County, for example, just look at Ngong, into Ongata Rongai, into Kiserian, into Kitengela. Unplanned. Well, haphazardly planned. It's not being properly implemented. If the plan had actually, moved into the point when we had even Mutila Kilonzo being the minister for the Nairobi Metropolitan Region, and they certainly said, let's now remaster plan this. We know there's a new master plan for Nairobi that was developed just the other day with the help of JICA. If we're implementing this, we'd be moving. Look at also what Professor Anyang' Nyong'o is doing with Kisumu. He's saying, let's redraw the plans for Kisumu. Number one, expand the boundaries of Kisumu City. When you expand the boundaries of Kisumu City, it means that you're bringing in some areas that were hitherto considered agricultural zones and all into commercial, into city. It means that you're also thinking of how you're easing the pressure from the CBD of Kisumu outwards. And I think that it's happening. It's just happening in ways that, okay, are we all speaking from the same, are we reading from the same page, speaking the same language? Are we reading the same version, the 2022 version of this same book? Or are some people reading the 2019 version of the 2022? I think it's happening. It's just all over the place.
It's not planned.
It's all over the place. It's not synchronized plans that are being implemented with everybody knowing. I, as the governor of Murang'a County, I know that as I'm developing this is where Nairobi will reach my area in X number of years.
Absolutely.
There are people who already live in Murang'a and they think they're in Nairobi. Thika Greens Estate is in Murang'a County.
But they're in Nairobi, as far as they're concerned.
As far as they're concerned. I mean, they're Nairobi folk. Everybody now between there and Nairobi, they're in Kiambu County. As far as they're concerned, they are Nairobi folk. Is the governor of Kiambu and the governor of Murang'a and the governor of Machakos and the governor of Kajiado, are they speaking the same language as the governor of Nairobi?
And that is why the plans that we see, and we can take them to be that they're not important, but the plans that we see that many national governments the world over have been involved in. So it doesn't matter who comes in and takes over, that you know that this is a plan and this is what we're sticking with. Because look at it, in the next 20, 25 years, when everybody has done their mushrooming and blah, blah, and then you're now trying to consolidate, what happens is that it becomes more expensive. It becomes a logistical nightmare because everybody had their own plan. So in terms of having then a central plan and everybody feeding into it in terms of this is where we want to go, and you're asking how, okay, so if you have a housing plan within the counties, look at, just like you're saying, look at what's happening in Kajiado County with housing. It's an absolute mess. Between Kajiado County, Machakos County, and then here, even feeding into the Nairobi metropolis. It's an absolute mess. Developments are coming up all over the place.
No sewer systems.
Sewer system is
no sanitation
non-existent.
services.
Sanitation doesn't work. So then you can imagine, these developments have already been put in place. Then you want to come 10 years later and say, for example, Kitengela will have a county sewage system, a sewage system developed by the county. What are you going to do?
Or schools, or hospitals.
You're going to uproot all of that. Then can you imagine the nightmare that's going to take place? Whereas if you had a plan now and say, guys, this is the blueprint, this is what we want to do. Kajiado feeds into Nairobi, Nairobi feeds into Kiambu, Kiambu feeds into Murang'a, and you're moving around like that. Going west, you're going into Naivasha, you're going into Nakuru, so that everybody's feeding into everybody else. Doing it later, planning after you've already done.
Or implementing a plan that was done a long time ago, but you did not implement it. Then you now start coming and saying, oh, by the way, there's a plan. We want to implement this plan.
And then?
My friend,
It's an
forget
absolute
it.
mess.
Forget it. Another economic story.
Okay. Survey reveals thieving ways of Kenyans are rising. Do you really want me to do this one?
Yes.
Okay. Kenyans have been stealing from each other more than ever before, a new survey has revealed. Also, dealing in dangerous drugs is another major crime that the country has witnessed in the last 1 year. The Economic Survey 2022 has revealed that the offence of theft tops the number of complaints by public to the police. The report covers the period 2020-2021 and reveals that 35.1% of the crimes reported to the police were of theft. Second in the list of reported crimes is dealing in drugs. The number of people either consuming or dealing in drugs now accounts for 31.1% of the crimes reported to the police during the period under review. Probably owing to the effect of the COVID-19 and the lockdown, more people were reported to have damaged other people's property. The number of cases of criminal damage rose by 5.5%. It is worth noting that it is during this period that many people were confined to working from home. During this period, the number of homicide cases shot up to 26.2%. Mental health experts have attributed the rise in the cases of domestic murders to, among other issues, frustration following the loss of jobs and hard economic times. Households that keep livestock suffered a major blow during this period, as 25.4% of the cases reported countrywide were related to the theft of animals. So here still theft. The data released by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics further revealed that 14.8% cases of robbery were reported in the same period under review. Economic crime stood at 17%, while cases of breaking and entering were 22.6%. There was an increase in the offence related to theft by house helps and other domestic workers, which stood at 16% of criminal complaints. 35% of crimes related to theft were reported to the police, and second was drug abuse.
Two things. One, is it, the effect of COVID? driving people to a point of desperation, driving people to a point of seeking to
Because they didn't have.
steal? Or is it an indicator of rising levels of confidence in the police?
Or that these things were happening anyway.
Yeah,
It's just
but
that
now
more
people are
were coming
reporting.
and reporting to the police.
Something as simple as, okay, someone came in and found clothes on my line and they stole them. Whereas previously you'd have thought, now going to report to the police is just so tedious. But now this time people are saying, okay, I'm going to report to the police.
It could be both. It could be both. Yeah, because then there is the hope that, the police are actually going to do something about it. And this could have been spurred on by something, seeing that maybe there was higher activity when it came to police actually doing something, taking up a case that was lodged at the police station and investigating and getting some kind of result. How many times over the last year did we talk about the fact that, okay, how is it that this person was found so quickly? How is it that this case was reported and they found the evidence and they removed? This could actually spur on somebody else to go and report their case because there's confidence that something could actually be done.
Yep.
I think it could be a combination of factors here. We did see a rise in crime, however, during COVID, during the peak of COVID in this country, that there were more break-ins and there were more, run off with somebody's livestock kind of thing because you didn't have. There was more, definitely.
Okay. Another angle to this, a release of the data by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. The government tells me that I have about 15 more years to live.
Tells you.
Yes.
You, Eric.
Yes.
I don't understand.
If you are male, you are likely to die by your 60th birthday as men's life expectancy in the country continues to shrink.
How morbid.
According to the Economic Survey 2022, the national life expectancy for males stands at 60 years against females 66.5. An entire 7 years more.
You might want to drink of this elixir.
Hey. The report indicates that none of the 47 counties has a life expectancy for males above 70.
My goodness, why?
Life expectancy in Kenya for males is 60. For women is 66.7.
I'm very interested.
No county has a life expectancy for males that is beyond 70 years.
Why?
Migori and Homa Bay counties have the least life expectancy for men at 50.5 years, Mombasa having the highest at 65.7 years. Mombasa's highest male life expectancy is still lower than the national female life expectancy. Of all the counties, only 8 have a life expectancy for females above 70. Majority of them being in central Kenya. If you go and live in Nyeri County, your life expectancy shoots up to 75.8 years.
If you're
followed
male.
by, if you live in, no, woman.
Okay.
If you live in Tharaka-Nithi, 70.3, Mombasa, 71.1, Embu, 70.1, Kirinyaga, 71.1, Kiambu, 72.8, Nandi, 70.4, Laikipia, 71.9. That's a life expectancy for females in these counties. The lowest life expectancy for females is 58.6 years, recorded in Tana River County.
I'm very interested as to the indicators pointing towards or the factors that affect life expectancy in this country, because we know that there are different lifestyle, habits, disease burden. What? Does it mention any of those here?
Yeah, well, it's not looking at it's just looking at the average age at which men are dying. Okay? Now, the various factors that will contribute to this will be many. Of the 47 counties, only Nyeri and Mombasa have a life expectancy of 20 years after 60, at 22.2 and 20 respectively. There is no county with a life expectancy above 20 years after 60. When you get to 60, basically consider yourself, whoa, every new day is a favor.
My goodness.
Every new day is a favor. Yeah, and that's what I was telling you. So now at 45.
Make the most of it, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Make the most of it.
There's also the issue of men aged at first marriage. For men, first marriage 27 years. For women, first marriage at 23 years.
I like that it says first marriage, because then it also is saying that there is a high possibility that there will be a second marriage.
Yeah.
Or that first marriage will not last.
Yeah. We're basically talking about at what age did you decide to get married?
The first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
For men, average age is 27. For women, the average age is 23. Now, this, of course, is looking at national figures, because if we look at some counties, in some communities, it has moved 40.
Indeed.
For various reasons.
Indeed, it has.
Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. So, Colgate and Well Boring have been working in 7 counties around the country, and many of them in the Nyanza region. They have sunk, for the last 4 years, they've sunk some 90 water wells in schools, and saying, all right, so if we sink a well in a school, the school, one, has access to water. That means the teachers and the students. The community has access to the same water from the same well, because schools are community establishments. So you are basically helping communities get access to water, shortening the distance between their source of water and their homes, and also creating a central communal area where they have clean, potable water. They'd like you to help. They say, go to Naivas today, buy Colgate, and 10 shillings out of that will go towards sinking 30 more wells by the end of this calendar year.
Right.
Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is Newswire Dennis Aseto. The Kenya Human Rights Commission and the Institute of Social Accountability, TISA, have petitioned the High Court to compel the government to produce information on Kenya's public debt. They claim their efforts to seek the information from National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani via a letter dated 7th February this year have been ignored, prompting them to move to court. In a petition filed at the High Court against the CS Yatani and Attorney General Kihara Kariuki, KHRC and TISA argued that Treasury CS has taken expensive loans bilaterally from states, international financial institutions and corporations over the past decade. They claim the executive has not been transparent in its floating of domestic and international bonds, contrary to constitutional requirements for public disclosure of all public borrowings. Now, Kisumu County Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o now says the 9th Afro-Cities Conference that is set to be held in Kisumu between 17th and 21st of this month will have long-term economic benefits for the Lake Region bloc. Nyong'o said that this comes at a time when focus is shifting to the role that intermediary cities will play in future as Africa grapples with rapid urbanization. He added that Kisumu City will host the 5-day Afro-Cities Summit as they reflect on the role of intermediary cities in Africa in the implementation of the United Nations 2030 Agenda of the African Union's Agenda 2063. Now, 48 Kenyan doctors have graduated after undergoing 3 years of family medicine training in Cuba. The doctors will be deployed at the community level to bring services closer to the people. The 48 doctors, one from each county, were part of the program initiated by President Uhuru Kenyatta following his visit to Cuba in 2018. The program aimed at instilling the much-needed skills to boost primary healthcare in the country as a pillar of universal healthcare. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe underscored the need for primary healthcare that entails taking basic services closer to the people. These as health stakeholders are calling upon the government to fast-track the ratification of the establishment of the African medicine agencies as well as secure hosting of AMA in Kenya. The AMA treaty was entered into force on 5th of November 2021 upon deposit of the 15th instrument of ratification at the African Union Commission. According to Kenya Healthcare Federation and the Health Sector Board of Kenya Private Sector Alliance, Kenya is among the countries that have neither signed or ratified the treaty. Now, the Kenya Health Federation has petitioned the government to consider fast-tracking the ratification of the African Medicine Agency. The treaty's ratification, alongside the recently announced establishment of Moderna Vaccines Manufacturing Facility, notes present vast opportunities for Kenya and will enhance our national positioning as a pharmaceutical investment destination. KHF Chairperson Dr. Khaenje Gakombe and CEO Dr. Anastasia Nyalita said the Federation implored the government through the Ministry of Health to fast-track the ratification of the treaty. And the Kwale-based detectives have launched a manhunt for a man who allegedly attacked his estranged wife with a hammer and a knife before fleeing, leaving her unconscious in a pool of blood. The Directorate of Criminal Investigation said the victim, Karen Nambuya, cheated death after being stabbed on the chest and hit on the head severally with a hammer. The victim was admitted to the Lunga Lunga Sub-County Hospital for treatment. Police and neighbors said the attacker first locked the main house before he descended on her. And finally, the High Court has dismissed a petition by former nominated Senator Paul Njoroge seeking to postpone the August 9th general election to next year. In a 67-page petition, the former nominated senator further pointed out that President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto were sworn into office on November 28, 2017, and by holding the next election on August 9th, they will not have completed the 5-year constitutional term. Justice Anthony Mrima ruled that elections are a historical event clearly stipulated in the Constitution to be held on the second Tuesday in the month of August. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Assetto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, so a few minutes after 8 o'clock, some traffic in the city going out towards North Airport Road and onto Outer Ring. Southern Bypass is looking pretty good. There you have a little traffic coming off the Likoni interchange, but you should be all right. Jogo Road, Lunga Lunga, Likoni, and then towards Lisaka, we see that problem. Uhuru Highway through to the city centre. Rilo Dingo Way also coming off Langata Road, some traffic here and there. Thika Superhighway, that traffic has built significantly to that Outer Ring junction. And looking at Kiambu Road, then back-to-back, bumper-to-bumper traffic, as well as coming off Limuru Road. Coming out of Westlands, many have described it as a nightmare this morning. Very slow, then going towards Ring Road, Westlands, and out towards Wangari Maathai Way. Let's keep an eye on things this morning. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127. Let's see what's going on where you are.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
It's 7 minutes after
This
8.
is
Good
the
morning, and
situation.
how are you doing? It's the 6th day of, some people think they're in May, but we all know that in Kenya we are in March 2022. We continue with Kenya's biggest conversation. Welcome to the third hour. CT Muga is away today. Hopefully he'll be back on Monday. So it's Eric Latiff and Ndu Okoh. I have the day's proverb on behalf of CT. You said the people of Lesotho are called?
Basotho.
Basotho.
Yes.
And the language spoken in Lesotho?
Sesotho.
Okay.
And one person from Lesotho is called a
Mas-
Basotho. A Masotho.
A Masotho.
Yes.
Okay. Higher. The proverb from Lesotho: when a ripe fruit sees an honest man, it falls. When a ripe fruit sees an honest man, it falls. It's also willing and happy to be consumed
It
by the
knows
honest
it's going into the hands of one it can trust.
man. Yes. Let's have a conversation about an extension of the conversation that we had yesterday. And yesterday we were talking about the complaint by the independent aspirants for various political seats in the country, the requirement by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission that if you want to vie in the election in August, what we'll need you to do is, number one, get clearance from the registrar of political parties that you're not a member of a political party if you're coming as an independent. And then you shall do, among other things, You'll go and collect some forms at the constituency offices or county offices of the IEBC, get to fill those forms, and then you'll bring the forms plus a proof that you have some people behind you. Now, the independent candidates met at the offices of the IEBC, and kumbe they have a forum.
Who'd have thunk it?
Independent candidates have a party. It's a independent candidates forum, and their chairperson is Esther Thairo, and she joins us in the studio. Good morning, Esther.
Good morning.
Good to have you in the Situation Room. Welcome to SpiceFM.
Thank you so much.
We'll talk about the independent candidates, but let's first start with, are you an aspirant for the forthcoming election?
Yes, I am.
As an independent?
As an independent candidate for gubernatorial seat of Nairobi.
You want to be Nairobi's governor?
Yes.
When did you decide this?
I decided this after agonizing on the situation of leadership in Nairobi and through my conviction. Maybe I should begin by introducing myself.
Yes.
Who I am. I'm a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 5. I'm a born-again Christian, and that is the conviction that led me to look at the leadership in Nairobi, and I was convicted to vie for the seat. I'm also an entrepreneur, doing many things, and majoring in a profession of hospitality. I'm passionate about a leadership of integrity, and I'm a leader in my family, my community, and even in the church circles.
Okay.
So, yes.
So you felt that the leadership in Nairobi has failed the people of Nairobi, including yourself.
Exactly.
And the people in your circles.
Yes.
What is it that the leadership of Nairobi has done that has really, really, totally angered you?
Looking at the trajectory of how this nation things are running, of course, high debts, that triggers to someone to look around and see what are those things that are affecting the mwananchi. So basically, I must say that again, the conviction of my Christian values, again, pushed me towards getting myself to be counted for this change that we are looking for. And the values that actually my Christian conviction brought was God-fearing. If we all fear God, there are some characteristics that will be in us that will not plunge us to the situation we are in.
Such as?
Such as corruption, of course, which is major in this city. So the other one is integrity. If we all are people of integrity, which is just doing the right things at all times, even without someone watching you, if we would have that in our hearts, then you expect this nation to be a nation of people of integrity, leaders of integrity. And lastly, families. There are many families struggling. One time I heard on radio somebody asking for 2K to pay rent, and that really touched me. And I wondered, how is this person putting food on the table if at all 2K for rent is next to impossible?
So, I mean, obviously the issues that you talk about are pertinent to survival for many Nairobi residents,
Yes.
and people countrywide. So what platform did you decide that you then wanted to run on? I mean, obviously now as an independent, why did you decide to go as an independent candidate where there are parties upon whose platforms then you can use as a vehicle?
In fact, this was led by looking at various political parties that we have had. The leaders have been there for ages, being leaders of this country, although the party name would change, but they are the same people. So I looked at Nairobi, which is a beautiful city, and I looked at it in 2 dimensions. One was internationally. I mean, it's a hub of international people. We have NGOs like the UNEP, the UN here. So we are advantaged if we could be people, leaders who are of integrity, we could harness some negotiation with these NGOs and be able to actually improve this city. Secondly, when you look at the Nairobi city nationally, it's a commercial hub. I mean, we have a lot of people with different businesses, and if the resources are harnessed in a proper way and distributed well, then that means we can build this city towards even restoring the beauty that we have. Yes.
Okay. So it would appear as though the independents have come together.
Yes.
Because there's a forum, obviously. So whom do you represent with the forum? Who then joins the forum, or by virtue of the fact that you're an independent, then you are automatically on the forum? How does this exactly work?
Well, let me say that this forum began when the journey of IBC announcing the procedures that needs to be followed for this to vie for this year elections. And this forum is just for ordinary aspirants who have come together for the purpose of signing a pledge to the Kenyan citizens to allow the Kenyan mwananchi to make their decisions as to who will be their leader in from August 9th, and not that decision to be decided by political parties.
Okay.
So we are coming to offer that leadership that the mwananchi is yearning for. And the mwananchi is ready for change. That is in the air. So that is how this forum was formed. And the genesis of it came about when I went to take my papers to the ORPP. At first, I was so frustrated because I didn't know exactly what is happening, since I had already deregistered myself. I had gone to star 509, and I found myself in a party that I wasn't even a member. So I decided to go in person to ORPP to do a manual resignation from that party. And I was so frustrated because at first I was told, go back home, wait for 2 weeks. That is when the system will be restored again. Wow. A gentleman who was next to me he saw my confusion and frustration and said, Ma'am, let me go and help you. So we walked outside. He took me to a cyber next to ORPP. And the gentleman there was told, help this lady. So when I spoke to him, he knew the procedure. I think he had dealt with many cases of such kind, and looking at people who are frustrated and desperate. So he walked me through. And that is when I looked at that and I saw there is a need.
So the system was working?
The system was working, but when you are at the reception and you are told, go back home.
And wait for 2 weeks.
And wait for 2 weeks.
What was the reason that they tell you to wait for 2 weeks if the system is working?
Yes, the reason they gave was that they are trying to set themselves out. I think there was this political parties submission of their members, or there was something going with the political parties. And that is why they had to pen the system for all of us to be able to use.
Okay.
So that's why I was told, come after 2 weeks.
And when you went to the cyber, how long did it take for you to deregister yourself from that
It
party?
took a long time because we were many. We were lining up. The cyber is a small space, but I never gave up. So I just stood there until I reached to the person who was assisting us. And when I was done, something struck in my heart, the conviction that there is a need. People need help. Actually, I could sense it and I could see in the faces of many. And that's when I took a seat and sat outside at the car wash, and I started observing what's going on. And immediately I felt, why can't I start a forum that would help to ease the stress and anxiety of the faces that I saw? So I sat there and I started asking people, would you like to be in a forum that we can all benefit in terms of building capacity, in terms of partnership, in terms of mobilization of our campaigns, in terms of actually the collection of these ID copies and signatures. And many people are ready.
It sounds like a party.
No, it's not a party.
Yeah. So there's clearly a difference. So it's a place whereby you can basically get help for the things that you need to be able to be sorted out. Do you find that of the independence, because we're looking at independence across board, there could be the notion that it's just presidential, it's gubernatorial as well, it's senatorial, it's member of parliament across board. Anybody who is running on an independent ticket then has an opportunity to be part of this forum, whereby all your needs, wants, aggravations can be expressed and dealt with? Or is it a venting space? Can you separate draw the lines here in terms of what the differences are?
The differences are we are not affiliated with any political party, and we are not a political party either. It's just the same way we can have a WhatsApp group, the way we are, the three of us, and we are able to interact. We are able to vent or air some concern or ask for help. Basically, that's how the platform operates.
Okay.
Yes.
How many members do you have so far?
We have over 200 members because after we did a press statement, the first one, it attracted the people, and people kept saying there's this forum, WhatsApp group that you can join, and they can enlighten you on the next procedure, steps to take in every stage of our requirements. So basically, and in the second one, presser we had at the IBC, again, it attracted quite a number of people, especially those who are frustrated. They don't have a clue of what to do next.
What is this frustration? I mean, you the way I've heard you say, even from your own experience of the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, it's a lack of awareness and information, access to information. Is it that people who are seeking positions of leadership have no idea the procedure that they need to go through to become leaders? Or is it that the officers that should be helping you are not helping you? You have the information, but you're not getting the support that you need.
Actually, is the availability of information. Because I remember going severally to IBC just to get the requirement. And my concern was that the port, where the public port shows a different thing. It says you have to collect 500 signatures as a governor. And then I look at the list again, it says a senator needs to collect 2,000. And then an MP is supposed to collect 1,000. And then an MCA is supposed to collect 500. So then I'm asking myself, a governor and a senator, who is above the other?
Both are campaigning in the county, at the county level.
Yes. So what's the difference? So it forces you to go to again on the to the IBC offices, and it's not an easy exercise because you sit there and by the time you get help, you've really suffered.
Do you think the IBC, the community at large, takes independent candidates seriously?
Actually, that is why we are, as our Independent Candidates Forum Kenya, we are protesting against the conditions that have been laid down as a requirement for independent candidates by the IBC. And every independent candidate is required to collect a specified number of signatures from voters from the area they are vying for. So you can imagine a president has to collect 48,000 signatures. That is a requirement. From 24 counties out of 47, each county 2,000. A senator, like I've said before, 2,000. So basically is that this is a very, very tough exercise. And on top of that, you're being made to collect again photocopies of ID from voters. I'm telling you, this makes it even worse. So when you look at the way things are, we are actually humbly expressing our concerns of these requirements that have been set, because it's unfair to an independent country.
Are they
so
new
do you
requirements?
think the IEBC is taking you seriously?
Well, the way we see and the way things are going on, we don't see whether they are taking us seriously. Reason being that when we walked to IEBC the day before yesterday, we were made to sit at the waiting space for a long time, and nobody came to help us. So we had to leave, basically.
So you sat there and no one came to speak to you, and that's why you walked out?
Yes, no one came. We were there by 8 o'clock. We signed a form from the security desk saying we would love to see the chairman of IEBC. We were told he's in Mombasa. Then we were advised that a commissioner will come and assist us. So the form was taken away and we were told, you wait, we'll call on you. But nobody came back.
And that was the end of it?
And that was the end of it. So we freely had to walk away.
Esther, before this particular venture into politics now, have you participated in politics at any level in terms of, participating in the elections 2017, 2013 or any?
No. I've only been a voter all throughout.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've never really agitated, willingly joined a political party, participated in political party exercises, participated in town halls or public participation fora, have you?
No, I've never really joined as per se to be part of it.
Okay.
But I've followed closely, and that is why I'm saying I've been agonizing on what is happening, yes, in this city.
You've seen what happens in politics.
Yes.
And what is expected of politics.
Yes.
When you decided, I want to be governor of Nairobi, and you obviously decided you don't want to join any political party, you want to go as an independent, it's because you knew that this is allowed in law.
Yes.
What, at that point, was your understanding of the requirements of an independent candidate for governor?
Yes.
What was your understanding? What were the requirements?
I was to the understanding of the requirements that there are signature collections, but the information didn't have about the copy of ID collection. Right. Actually, we had to dig further. In fact, I had to go to IBC and say, there's a rumors that we have to collect ID copies. And actually, I got a photo shot of that constitution, which was laid in 2017. And that convinced me that it's a constitution that is meant to be there. The question is, if that constitution was done in Parliament 2017, why hasn't it been reinforced in the last year's election of 2017? And asking some people who vied in the last term elections, they said that was not a requirement. So that's the big question. Why now? Even the time of the BBI, there was no submission of copies of IDs. So why now, when there is this surge of independent candidates coming forward?
So it's already in law?
It is already in law.
There's law that says you shall present signatures, copies of IDs, and ID numbers, obviously, for you to be cleared by the IEBC. It's in law. So your protest is, why is it being enforced this time and not a previous time?
Yes.
But why not this time?
Well, we see this time is kind of a bit tricky because if you look at the requirements and the timelines are very short. For example, I'm vying for governor of Nairobi, and the IBC has to issue me with booklets. I've not been issued with the booklets. They say from governor downwards, we have to wait until they gazette our names. And then after that, they will call us so that we can collect our booklets to go and collect signatures. After we collect this, we are only given 10 days to do that.
To
that
collect the
exercise.
signatures.
Yes, signatures.
So in this particular case, for you as governor, is it 2,000 signatures?
No.
In the county, or is it still 500?
It's still 500.
Okay.
But on behalf of the independent candidates who have 2,000 and the president having 48, it's also a concern for me. Yes.
Okay, so many things are up in the air now in terms of what exactly is happening. And speculation is rife that, we saw this list of presidential candidates on the independents are 47 already.
Yes.
We don't even know the numbers across, the other levels. We don't know that. But could this be a direct way of getting people off of the ballot? Because if it's in law, then it's something they're going to follow. If we're looking at another law that is being stipulated now, the gender balance card is being played now. IEBC has said very clearly, you bring us a list of certified nominees and the gender balance doesn't show up here, the entire list will be thrown out. We give you 48 hours to reconcile. You don't do that, it's being thrown out. So it is not only on this part of the stipulated law that IEBC is harping. There are other issues, there are other areas that they're also insisting on at this time. However, again, nature abhors a vacuum. And if there's no information as to why, then we're going to all fill it with speculation. And many have said the booklet is going to be thick when it comes to the ballot. Is this one way to get people off the ballot?
Let me say, not with certainty that it is one way, but it seems to be one way of filtering people to have, because you can imagine we have 7,292 independent candidates, 7,000, and there are 47 running for president. We have 107 governors. We have 151 senators, 112 MPs, and 5,902 MCAs. So you can imagine how the ballot box would be, having people with their symbols, their names, and where a voter will tick. It's hard even to identify who is your
preferred candidate.
Preferred candidate, yes.
So you think it's one way. Let's take a break at this point. Esther Thairo is aspiring to be the next governor of Nairobi as an independent. She is the chair of the Independent Candidates Forum. They've come out strongly opposing this requirement by the IEBC for signatures and particularly ID copies of their supporters. So governors are required to have 500 signatures. MCA, similar, 500 signatures and ID copies. Senate aspirants and also women rep aspirants, 2,000. Members of the National Assembly, 1,000. Members, president, you need to have 2,000 per each of half of the counties. 24 times 2,000, 48,000. Okay, so this is a requirement. Let's talk about something else, just being awesome. The awesomeness of the new Samsung A series, A33, A53, and A73. Awesome is the screen for everyone who inspires the world with their awesome way of life. Bright and beautiful in any condition. Optimal viewing if your passions take you outside. Awesome is the camera, shooting smoother, more lifelike videos than ever. Awesome is the battery. Lasts for 2 days in one charge as you bounce from one commitment to another. A battery that lasts 2 days. And it's such powerful camera. Hey, this is a good one. Esther, you get this one, you can campaign from wherever you are. You just live stream your campaigns. Here I am, guys.
This is it.
Yes. Keep it here for more conversations coming up shortly with Esther Thairo, the chair of the Independent Candidates Forum. We are live on KTN Home, SpiceFM, and YouTube and Facebook.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Brought to you by Colgate.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise.
You're listening to Spice FM.
extra, extra, read all about it. We have big news. The new Galaxy A series range has arrived and it's taking awesome to a whole new level. You love capturing with the Galaxy A33 5G's 48 megapixel camera, the A53 5G's 64 megapixel camera, and the A73 5G's 108 megapixel camera. The 2-day battery will keep your awesome going for longer and longer. You can now trade in your old device and upgrade for any of the 3 new arrivals, which come with Samsung Care Plus and a free one-time screen replacement. Awesome's what we're doing. T's and C's apply.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Did it really happen if you didn't take a picture? Capture every moment with the new Galaxy A range. The Galaxy A33 5G comes with a 48 megapixel camera and a 2-day battery.
It's sunny in Nairobi this morning at 17, highs of 23. We'll see lows of 15, mostly cloudy conditions at 18 in Nakuru, highs of 24 and lows of 15. 15 will also be the low in a rainy Nyeri now at 18, highs of 23, highs of 25 in Eldoret where it's sunny at 17 with lows of 13. Rain showers continue in Mombasa, 25 right now, 31 will be the high and lows of 24, while in Malindi it's raining at 25, highs of 30 and lows of 25. Kisumu at 21 is partly sunny, highs of 28. We'll see highs of 28 as well in a sunny Kakamega at 22. Kampala is sunny at 22, highs of 26. 29 will be the high in a rainy Dar es Salaam now at 25, and we'll see lows of 23. Sunny conditions at 11 in Johannesburg, highs of 22 and lows of 10. While Lagos is raining at 25, we'll see highs of 31 and 33 will be the high in a rainy Kinshasa. Thunderstorms abated at 22. That'll be today's low.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, hasn't been too crazy this morning. Hopefully we can remain just so. A little bit of traffic coming off North Airport Road, and we're seeing Raila Odinga taking some of the traffic off of Langata Road this morning, and it is actually quite busy. Inbound and outbound on Mombasa Road around Imaradaima still continues, and that whole industrial area circuit, quite some traffic there as well this morning. Jogga Road leading out into the city, and then Landis Road, bumper to bumper through to Kamkunji, and we're looking at Haile Selassie coming off of Uhuru Highway as well as coming off of Kamkunji, quite heavy this morning, joining with Ngong Road. And what do you get? A traffic sandwich, which most people don't want to bite out of this morning, but let's try and keep going. We're looking at the Thika Superhighway, which is also quite heavy as you get to the Outer Ring Junction. Much better on Kiambu Road now, as well as Limuru Road coming out of Western. Still a nightmare. Hopefully we wake up soon. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Spice FM, Nyeri.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
It is 23 minutes to 9. This is Kenya's biggest conversation with Eric, Latiff, Okoh, and our guest this morning, Esther Thairo, gubernatorial aspirant for Nairobi City County on an independent ticket, who is also the chairperson of the Independent Candidates Forum of Kenya. And she says they started this forum to bring together the independent candidates across the country so that they can together have one voice. Together they can inform one another of the requirements or what's happening on the ground. Together, they can build their capacity in terms of knowledge and understanding of the electoral process and the requirements by the IEBC, by the law, by the courts, or any other forum. Now, Esther, you want to be governor of Nairobi, and the requirement so far from the IEBC is that, number one, after you go through the ORPP and the ORPP has said, yes, Esther is not a member of a political party, you'll go to the IEBC.
Yes.
And then the IEBC will gazette you as an aspirant.
Yes.
And after you've been gazetted as an aspirant, then you go to the IEBC county office or constituency office to collect a form.
Yes.
What are you supposed to do with this form?
Now, when you get this, they are calling them booklets. You're supposed now to go to the people to ask them to endorse you with their signatures. And this form has it has the name, the constituency, the ID number, the ward, and your signature, the voter's signature. Then now asking them that you're supposed to collect even photocopies of their ID. This is becoming too hard, next to impossible.
So in 2017, everything that you've said happened apart from the collection of the photocopy of ID.
Yes.
Independent candidates came with the booklets to their people.
Yes.
And they said, I'd like you to endorse me.
Yes.
So I put in my name and my ID number and I sign.
Yes.
And I also say my constituency and my ward.
Yes.
Just to prove that I'm a voter in Nairobi.
Yes.
This time there's an addition to that requirement, which is the photocopy of the ID.
Of the ID.
Okay, what is the problem that you have with that?
The problem is that when you are on the ground, talking to the voters, they are not comfortable with their data privacy. Because now you're saying you've written the ID number, so what about the ID copy that you need? So if only the IBC would sensitize people to the effect this condition, this requirement, then it could make a difference. Maybe, we don't know, because then they will allay the fears that people have of their data abuse. So that is one. If they would do that, then the people would actually receive us with the knowledge that the IEBC said it's an electorate requirement. So these people...
And have they done this adequately with the other signatures that need to be collected? Because we knew, through the ORPP, that it was necessary for you then to collect these signatures anyway. Now, the bone of contention here is the ID copies. And you're saying if IEBC raised awareness amongst people saying, folks are going to be coming to you, asking you for your ID copy, it's going to happen because it's a requirement by us for them to have this. Did they do this?
No, they haven't done.
No. Did they do this for the other part where those other signatures were required, not for an independent? Do you know if they did this?
No.
Putting out the word in the community saying, guys, candidates are going to be coming to you asking for these signatures? Or are we saying that it was easier because other candidates can rely on their parties?
I think for the party, it's much easier because there is that voters' loyalty to a party, a particular party. So they have that trust that the party will take care of their privacy, data privacy. But for an independent person, first of all, you approach a voter, they scan you from bottom to up, and here you are saying, I need also a copy of your ID. It's a nightmare.
Why would it be a nightmare? Okay, let's deal with you, Esther. Esther Thairo wants to be governor of Nairobi. Okay? If we look at the number of voters who are registered in Nairobi, it's more than 1 million.
Yes.
If we look at the statistics from 2017, Mike Mbuvi Sonko won with over 800,000 votes. So if Esther Thairo is serious, she's basically looking for 800,000 votes in Nairobi to win.
Yes.
If you can convince 800,000 people to vote for you, Esther, are you telling me it's so difficult for you to get 500 of them to look at you, knowing full well this is what you represent, knowing full well that they are not only giving you access to going to City Hall, but giving you access to billions of shillings every year that you'll be controlling? Why is it so difficult for you to convince Eric to give you a copy of the ID if you've really convinced Eric that you're the right person for the job?
Well, you see, convincing a person who doesn't know you that much, like now, to convince you to do something for me, there are those issues in a person, in a human being, of trust. Okay. So I may say all these good things and everything that sounds applicable to what you're looking for. But again, there's that element when I go too deep, too far, asking you, for example, if I say, give me a title deed, I want to see how it is to enable me to get you a title deed for your land or something. You'd think twice. I'm doing a good thing that will help you. But at the same time, there's that element of issue of trust that you cannot remove from a person.
If I can maybe ask, and let's just assume that I'm coming from the side of the IEBC, and to say here, the assumption is that you have support on the ground.
Yes.
The assumption is that there are people on the ground who know who you are as an independent candidate. It doesn't matter at what level your candidature is up for, right? So the assumption is that there are people who know you anyway, that there are people who are going to support you. There are people who didn't know you from Adam and are going to give you their vote as governor, as president, as whatever. IEBC is saying, go to these same people because you do not have the party platform to stand on, right? Go to these same people who are going to vote for you anyway, and let's just have their ID copy as something that you can stand on in terms of the support that we know that the community or the society, quote unquote, has already accepted you as a candidate, and then give it to us. And upon that, we will then clear you. Could you see it making some sense where they're coming from? Not that they want to make life difficult for you, but that they actually want to see that you have some kind of standing. And they're saying you have the support anyway. If you are running for a position, the assumption is that the support exists. So here we are saying, for a gubernatorial aspirant, get 500 people from your huge support base to give us your ID copies.
It's kind of a tricky situation, if I may ask, if I may say. It's a tricky one because, you see, when you speak about any political party, there is readiness for that. You know, even before someone knows who you are, vying for any position, the party puts on a lot of trust that this is a person who is credible. If my aspiring president has approved them, you see? And that I saw that in the last year elections. Just because the Jubilee, you know, we were... let me say I voted with the ticket of voted for Jubilee. But what I looked at, because I was not aware who is who, but basically Jubilee.
You saw Jubilee, you said this one.
Yes.
Jubilee must have vetted this person.
This person.
Jubilee trusts this person, and I trust Jubilee, so I trust this person.
This person. It's very different as much as when you go now as an individual.
Sure.
Very different and very challenging.
But that is what you have decided you want to do. You see, you had the option, Esther, of going to Jubilee and campaigning for the Jubilee ticket. You decided you don't want to go to Jubilee and ask for the ticket. You want to go independent. You knew this is the battle that you have to fight.
Yes.
Let's assume that today IEBC puts up adverts in the paper, on radio. They come to SpiceFM and they say, please, if Esther comes to you, give her your copy of your ID. Do you think that will make it easier for you, that you can now go and convince people?
Well, it will make it easier slightly because people will trust the IEBC with their data privacy. So that will ease a little bit. I can't really tell you at what level it will ease. I can't tell you. If I had these booklets and I'm now going sampling or taking from different wards, because Nairobi has about 85 wards. So you can imagine you have to go all around those wards. It could ease, but I don't know how much. Since about issuing to a person an ID, you have to really convince me, even as much as I want to support you.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
I think at a personal level, we even discussed this yesterday and said, yes, IEBC needs to be very clear with the information. that everybody understands that this is a requirement of the IEBC, and not just the IEBC waking up and deciding. This is actually a requirement of the law. If the law stipulates this, then it's the role of the IEBC to sensitize everybody that these are the requirements according to the law, and this is how we shall go about it. I want to ask a different question, slightly different, and this is with regards to the high number of independent candidates that we are seeing. Just give us those numbers again. 7,000?
We have 47 running presidents for presidency, 107 governors, 151 senators, 112 women reps, 973 MPs, and 5,902 MCAs.
This is obviously a sharp rise from the number of independent candidates that we saw in 2013 and in 2017. Why do you think more and more people such as yourself are going straight for the independent ticket and not going through the political party process?
Because they have lost faith.
In what?
In the leadership of parties making decisions for the mwananchi. That is why we are coming to offer an alternative, because there is a need. People are yearning for change, and it is in the air. So we are coming in as an alternative. When I go to the ground, somebody is saying, I was not going to vote. I wasn't. I was going to waste my time to go and queue early in the morning. But because you're there, are you sure there are many more? And I say, yeah, there are many more who are independent candidates. And they said, now this time I'll vote. That speaks volume. That people have lost faith.
So people have lost faith in the structures and organizations of parties.
Yes.
But they have faith in individuals.
Now, the individual, that's why when you do door-to-door, of course, you are in touch with them. I mean, you can feel the ground, you can feel with them. And so there is that element of trust that you will feel, you feel and you'll see what they are going through. So with the parties is that the system actually elect people of from their own cronies. Let's be obvious.
Select.
Yes, they select. We saw that where you see the nominations, how they were done. They select the people. No, it's this one, not this one. So when that happens, is that this leader will go in, let's say a governor, with an interest of the person who appointed him to that position. So it's kind of tricky to the mwananchi to be able to see what direction should I follow.
But if you think about it in the theory of the political parties and multi-partyism, there's also a layer of accountability and being answerable to a certain structure. The person who's been elected through a political party is expected to be loyal to the party, is expected to be answerable to the leadership and the structure of the party. Okay? So as a voter, you know very well that once you've elected this person, there's also still another layer of accountability that they have got to go through, and that will constantly be holding them to account. If I elect you as an independent, I have absolutely no clue what will be influencing your decision making on the floor of the house. I don't know whether you'll be aligned to me, or whether you'll form an alliance with another people and call yourselves a forum, or whether you will actually even defect and start supporting a political party in there. How do we trust independence, that independence will represent us?
What I can say is that the independent candidate is just an ordinary mwananchi. Just an ordinary mwananchi like you, who is working so hard, doing the same jobs we do to bring food on the table. When you look at an independent candidate, it's not one who is bound to the party structures. They are going there to bring a leadership that they are serving the people and not the people being subjected to those structures. So there is an element of someone feeling with you, because you're feeling with the person. You're feeling the hardships that they are going through. It's easier for them to trust you, especially when they see you're just an ordinary person like them.
So I believe and trust that independent candidates will be victorious for the fact that they have taken a bold step, because it's a bold step. I mean, come to think about gubernatorial seat of Nairobi, and look at who are vying, definitely.
Sure. I mean, we also look at so many things being said day on day. I mean, every day a different poll is released. Somebody says something about something. And then it seems as though the larger part of the cake of attention is already in the hands of a few. What does that do to whether it is mindset, whether it is operations, administration of independence, when you see that the attention has been grasped by just a few? And there are 7,000 independents here who, unfortunately, truth be told, I mean, if you look at those lists, there's some people you've not heard of. There's some people you've not seen. There's some impact you have not felt, right? How does then that influence or impact then on your operations going forward as an independent?
You see the, how do I put it? But I'm saying, if you look at what is happening around, okay, like you've said, there's a chance, there's a big chance of voters wanting to try different people. So there's a huge chance. And even if we look at how this thing is operating, it's already in the hands of the big muscles.
And does big muscle mean money?
Muscles to be able, an independent candidate can't afford to be on a billboard that costs 250,000 a
And then
month.
be on 10 of them.
And there'll be 10 of them from Nairobi to Thika Road. You can't. I mean, it's next to impossible. You can't have trucks that you're going, roadshow trucks that are announcing for your campaign.
But is this not a necessity for you to campaign? I mean, is it not important for you to put your name out there, to campaign, to be able to go door to door, to be able to have the billboards and visibility, increased visibility for your own awareness? You're talking about more than 1 million people.
Well, it is, if you can afford. But basically, independent candidates are restricted to door to door and digital.
How do you think things ought to change politically with the body that is bound by law to, administer, whether it's the Register of Political Parties and then obviously whether it is the IEBC? How do you think things ought to change to accommodate some of these things that you're talking about? I mean, and I do think that some of these things are possible because we are seeing now, things said by the IEBC that we didn't think would happen 5 years ago or 10 years ago. What do you think are some of the things that need to happen in order to accommodate independents who don't have the muscle that you speak about then to operate as others would?
Basically, I would think if the elections has to be fair and free for all requirements should be applicable to all. Like, for example, we are adhering to not starting any campaign because the IEBC says no. But we see people campaigning all around, putting posters. And you wonder, why are these particular people not, no action is taken when they do that? I read an article that was saying, well, you continue campaigning because you want us to either arrest you and you bring chaos, except don't use any hatred words.
Yep.
Now, coming to an independent candidate, those requirements, the books are not available even for you to begin your campaign. The time period that you're being given, 10 days, it means you'll be working day and night, knocking at people's door. It is next to impossible. So you wonder, what is the motive behind this? What is going on? Is it a total elimination of the independent candidates so that we are not there? Because it's likely. Don't be shocked to see the number of independent candidates after being filtered will go to the ballot box. Watch this.
So this 7,000 may actually be cut by half.
Not even half.
More than half.
More than half because of deadlines. There are some people who are locked up locked out when they finished the procedure of ORPP, and there was a holiday because the deadline was before 2nd of May.
Yeah.
Now, that long holiday, they were with their papers at IBC. Even now, they haven't given up. They are still there. So it's not fair for someone who travels all the way from Garissa, and especially they came and collected their letters from ORPP, and then they were misled and told you have to go to your county. They traveled back. Just to go to their county, they are told, no, you have to go back to Nairobi and submit your paper to IBC.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's a real frustration.
Pole sana, Esther, but we'll keep getting in touch with you to hear what is going on and whether you've been able to come through for a meeting with the IEBC, what they've told you, what you've agreed. And thank you for joining us. Esther Thairo is the chair of the Independent Candidates Forum and also an aspirant for the governor's seat in Nairobi City County. She's been here with us. She's been telling us the plight of the independent aspirants and what they're going through in the hands of the electoral manager, the IEBC, and also just the whole journey of participating in an election process. Keep it here for more coming up in the next hour. Reminding you, go to Naivas this morning, buy Colgate, and 10 Bob does what?
It goes towards making sure that 30 more water wells are sunk around the country to make water accessible for another 120,000 Kenyans by the end of this year. A much needed resource.
Indeed. Good morning. It's now 9 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. ICTCS Joe Musheru has responded to the Ruto campaign team that demanded he be investigated by IEBC for allegedly using government resources to support Raila Odinga's bid for presidency. Through his Twitter account, Musheru described Ruto's campaign leader Josephat Nanok's statement no longer relevant, since he publicly stated that he supports Raila's stab for presidency. According to him, Ruto is also a government official like him who is also running for president using the same government resources. Yesterday, Nanok issued a statement complaining about this statement.
So some of us are there to ensure we have free, fair election, making sure systems and everything are working. And obviously we're working closely with Baba to ensure that that is the case. And we've been looking and seeing the information. We are on the right track. We are on the right path. We are following our leader. And to assure you, Baba, tuko pamoja, and we are following, you've given us assignments, hiyo yote tunafanya, and even if it's not visible to all of you, sisi mnajua, we are not sleeping.
Now, new data in the latest economic survey report shows that Kenya's fertility rate has gone down, particularly in urban areas. The total fertility rate for 2019 was 3.4 births, which marks a drop of about 1 birth from 4.8 births in 2009. According to the 2019 Kenya Population and Housing Census Analytical Report, all the counties showed a decline between 2009 to 2019, except for Marsabit, Mandera and Wajir, which showed an increase. All the counties had a decline of between 10 and 40%, except for Nyeri, Kirinyaga and Muranga, where the TFR declined by less than 10%, implying the decline slowed in the three counties. Now, the Standard Gauge Railway netted a total of 15.2 billion shillings in revenue from passenger and freight services last year, backed by increased demand. Latest data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics indicate that in 2021, SGR reported a 24% increase in revenue, which jumped to 13 billion shillings from 10.5 billion shillings in 2020. Higher revenue was lifted by increased cargo demand, which saw the new line introduced in 2017 haul 5,407 tons of cargo last year from 4,411,000 tons in 2020, a 22.6% increase. Similarly, earnings from passenger services on Madaraka Express also doubled to 2.2 billion shillings last year from 896 million shillings, owed to increase in demand for travel between Nairobi and Mombasa following the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions on public transport and introduction of night travel. Now, about 14.9 million people around the world died as a result of indirect result of COVID-19 in the period between January 1st, 2020 and December 31st, 2021, according to new estimates from the World Health Organization. Nearly 3 times more deaths than were officially reported. There were 5.4 million COVID-19 deaths reported to WHO during that time frame, resulting in an excess mortality estimate of 9.5 million more deaths than what was reported. The 14.9 million deaths include deaths directly attributed to COVID-19 that were reported to WHO, deaths directly attributed to COVID-19 that were not counted or reported, deaths indirectly associated with the pandemic due to the wider impact on health systems and society. The figure also subtracts any deaths that were avoided due to changes in social behaviors, such as fewer fatalities from car wrecks because of lockdowns or travel restrictions. The estimated range of excess deaths was 13.3 million to 16.6 million over the 24-month period, according to the methodology used in the WHO report. Now, Saudi Arabia, Russia and other key oil producers agreed on another marginal increase in output bolstered by risks to demand amid coronavirus restrictions in China. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has added to supply concerns, which have increased the Europe's announced move on a potential Russian oil embargo. OPEC Plus members confirmed they'll stick to their strategy of modestly boosting output, adding another 432,000 barrels per day for June. In short, back-to-back meetings via video conference, the group noted the continuing effects of geopolitical factors and issues related to the ongoing pandemic. And a Virgin Atlantic flight heading to New York's JFK airport turned back to London Heathrow after it emerged the first officer hadn't completed the airline's final flying test. Flight VS3 was around 40 minutes into the journey when a rostering error emerged, leading the flight returning to London. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Aiko Sawa. Airport North Road is looking really busy this morning. Getting on to, let's say Airport North Airport Road. All join. It's North and there's Airport. Going now towards North Outer Ring, there's a problem this morning. There's a bit of a nook there that has quite some traffic. Southern Bypass is looking really good. There's always the option to use the long way and not get stuck in traffic. Langata Road, as you get to the Wilson Airport, then and out towards the Timor roundabout is where you'll find some traffic, but not too crazy at this point. Westland still doing the business since this morning. Waiyaki Way really busy. Coming off a Thika Superhighway, still some traffic, and we're seeing back-to-back, bumper-to-bumper traffic on Kiambu Road this morning. I don't know how many lanes we're at now, but it's really busy in that area this morning. What else are we looking at a few minutes after 9 o'clock? Uhuru Highway getting out through the Nyeri Stadium roundabouts and then into the city. Busy as well. Let's keep an eye on things this morning, folks. We should be out of traffic hour early this Friday. Let's keep things moving as much as we can, and then let's talk on SpiceFM. KE on Twitter, text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up.
It is 7 minutes after 9.
This
How are
is
you
the
doing?
situation.
Kenya's biggest conversation enters the final hour of the show this week, the 6th day of March 2022. We shall be in March until the day President Uhuru Kenyatta cuts the ribbon, unveils the plaque, whatever he'll do, drives onto the expressway, as he promised. There's a Uhuru Classic the run taking place this weekend on Sunday.
Yes.
Okay? I'm sure Uhuru himself will be there walking, running, or flagging off the run. That does not equate to launching the highway. We want him to drive on it.
And then?
And then now we shall go into April.
And then we shall be in April. So until then?
Apana, we are going nowhere. We shall refuse. Okay. City Muga is away, back on Monday, hopefully. I have the day's proverb. It's from Lesotho. When a ripe fruit sees an honest man, it drops. When a ripe fruit sees an honest man, it drops. You think you're the one who's selecting the fruit? No.
The fruit is selecting
The fruit
you.
selects you. If you see a fruit dropping, it's the one that selected you. Right? Yeah. Today is Independence Day on SpiceFM. We had the chair of the Independence Forum, Candidates Forum, and we have another independent candidate now on the show. Alpha Mwaura wants to be the next senator of Nairobi City County to replace Johnson Sakaja, who's been there and now wants to be governor. Mike Muvisonko was the first senator, became governor. Okay, so maybe Alpha Mwaura is looking at 27? Governor. This is the journey. Alpha, good morning.
Good morning to you, Eric.
Good to have you on the show. Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
I'm happy to be here. I've always seen it from the internet, the soft, as I called it, the soft. So I'm happy to be here. I know it's a seat that big men and women have sat on, based on what I've been following. Yeah.
Glad to have you. I see you dressed like a pilot, and one of the news items just now by Dennis Aseto was this flight that had to turn back. It was heading to America from the UK, turned back mid-flight because they realized that first officer had not completed all the checks pre-flight.
Which is something that you were supposed to do.
Yeah. Walifungua bonnet, wakapima oil, kaangalia maji ya wiper, kaangalia coolant. They forgot something.
Anything is possible. And anything is possible. And you know they are human beings.
Why are you dressed like a pilot?
This is a captain attire, actually. Not just an aviation attire. This is a captain. That's why you can see on the badge, it's 4.
It's the 4 stripes.
Yeah, it's the 4 stripes.
So captain of what?
Captain of first, my own dreams. Yes, that is very important. Number 2, I've been a captain for Chess Kenya. I was a champion in 2008 in Kenya. It's just that chess is not really one of the mainstream sports and games. So people might not be familiar with you. Yes.
So you're a chess master? Or not yet?
Not yet a master.
Okay.
Yes, but I have over 10,000 experiences in terms of moves and everything else. That makes you a master.
So what are you, a national champion?
National champion, former.
Former national champion?
Yes.
And then did you represent the country out there?
I was to represent the country in Burma, in Vietnam. However, that was the same time I was sitting for my KCSE. That was 2008. Yes, so I had to choose which one to do. And
obviously you chose, of course, to sit your exams.
Yeah, to sit for my exams. I don't regret. Even if I went to Burma to represent Kenya, I wouldn't have regretted. Because it's just a year difference. And right now, really, I don't regret. I made the right decision at that time. Yes. So I have followed up since then. I've been training other upcoming young members to... Chess is a way of life. Even in politics. Politics is like chess. Life is like chess. You protect the things that are so dear to you. Pale kwa board. The same as the interest of your bosses, who are the citizens, the good people of Nairobi. All your own interests, the things that matter to you, your family, your values. Yeah. So it is a way of life. Chess is a way of life.
Okay.
Yes.
I can see the connections you're making between the two. But then I have to ask, moving on beyond what you did in playing sport,
yes,
why move into politics? Or leadership. Or
in
governance.
leadership, yeah. I want to be part of the change that I want to see. You know, we've been in the sidelines. We've been fans for quite some time. And we've been complaining so much that this is not getting done. Maybe I have this idea. How can I be able to push this? You've been doing your own small things with a little effort as you hustle. You're still doing things, not just to assist other people, definitely. You assist yourself, grow by helping others. In 2000, when Kibaki, the third president, was leaving, that was my first time getting into active politics. And I mobilized over 20,000 young men and women for TNA that time, for His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, before they even came together with the deputy president. So at that time, I took an active role, although at the back seat. It's the back seat because I was not really, nobody knew about Alpha at that time. So I've been in Nairobi for the last 9 years or 10 years. Yeah, over 10 years, hustling and doing things. And I've been coming to Nairobi. My grandmother lives in Embakasi East. So Nairobi is like home to me. So I've been coming to Nairobi. I know the things. Nairobi is not just a county. It's the capital city. If Nairobi works, Kenya works. And there are so many young people whose dreams have been shattered. Nairobi is a city of hope and despair. So many dreams have been shattered. Not because these people deserved that, but because there is no that good link between the leadership and where the resources are. And for me as Alpha, I'm just coming to be a good link because everything else is there. And as a senator, one of the biggest roles that is normally not really highlighted is to represent the interests of your people. Yes, we can make laws. We have a lot of laws, good laws, that have been shelved. They're just dusty. But if we can be able to implement these laws and also tweak good and new ideas, not just from myself, but from the teamwork that I engage as a leader, then definitely you will be able to see in the next 5 years that we've done something.
Using
because of
practical
leadership.
examples, Alpha.
Yes.
With the aid of clearly labeled diagrams.
Yes.
What should the next senator of Nairobi focus on?
The next senator of Nairobi should first focus on the basics of Nairobians, representing the basic interests of Nairobians.
Which are those?
Like security. Security. Nairobi is not a safe. It's not a safe city. Yes, even a foreigner will tell you. Right after they've landed at JKIA, the moment they are in Nairobi, they do not feel safe. You cannot walk in Nairobi past 7 and you're comfortable. So that is one, and it is very key to me because I've also had interest in the security field. We've done over 10,000 security cameras around the country, and most of them is in Nairobi. Yes, that is in the field of telecommunications and engineering field. Yes. Number 2 is access to water. I will not provide water. That is not my role. But I will make sure that as a basic is available to Nairobians. Yes. Unajua, siasa, and especially the seat of a senator, you have to make noise, but constructive noise. Yes, you will have to make noise. You will not sit back and watch Nairobians suffer, and they've given you the mandate. The governor is a little bit, will be a little bit, will not do much of politics. You know why? He's under the mercy of the MCAs. I am not under the mercy of any MCA. In fact, I could dare call myself the MCA 001 because I can be able to connect common mwananchi to the president, and I can be able to connect that common mwananchi to to the governor, who is the head of the county government.
Okay.
So that is very important. Those are the basic, some of the
those
basics.
two things.
Yes.
Security and
Yes.
access to water.
Access to water and opportunities. I was to talk about the three things.
Access
First,
to opportunities.
yes, access to opportunities, which I've already been doing.
All right.
Yes.
Let's go into each of them one by one. Let's start with water.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
As a senator,
Mhm.
you are in the Senate.
Yes.
How will you advocate and ensure that there is provision of water for Nairobi residents? What is it that you want to see done? What will you do?
Thank you very much, Eric, for that question. I am a person who believes on intent. Be very intentional on the things that you want to do. For me, I've already looked at how to lobby best. Is first get very much involved in the committee that deals with that resource that you want to provide for your people. Yes. And by doing that, that is the water committee in the Senate. Yes. Be an influential person in the water committee. You can be a chairman or you can be a deputy chair. You will be able to assist your people maximally.
Okay.
So, intentionally, I plan to be a very active member of the water committee. Yes.
So what will you do?
After that, my main job will be to lobby and engage mwananchi on the things that do not require so much of bureaucracy. But some things are very simple. In the estate that I live in, one of the biggest challenges is that it's not like there is no water. They just do it intentionally for other dealers who are called cartels to be able to get their market and bring the water in either by mitungis or by their lorries. So there is sabotage. Let us deal with that sabotage. So my work really will be to be able to engage the relevant stakeholders. There is Nairobi Water Company. I'm not coming really forcefully. If you come forcefully, the same resistance will be there, and you might give up before you start. So I want to engage many stakeholders, not really the cartels, but many stakeholders with regards to this issue.
I still want to understand, because you are sitting in the Senate.
Yes.
The relevant body
yes.
in water provision in Nairobi
yes.
is the Nairobi City Water and Sewerage Company.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This has representation
Yes.
of the county government
Yes.
on the board and other stakeholders on the board. Senator is not on the board.
Yes, you're not on the board.
The work that this organization is doing is sort of independent. It's regulated by the Water and Sewerage Regulatory Body, WASREB. If there's any information that is required on the management of Nairobi Water, it is being dealt with at the county level by the governor and the county assembly.
Yes.
So you as senator, what is it that you're going to do to then move that needle to make sure that Nairobi Water is supplying water to Embakasi East, for instance? I mean, you are not in charge of Nairobi Water. It's not, it's not for lack of laws. It's not for lack of regulation. It's not for lack of budget. And even if it was for lack of budget, you don't give the budget to Nairobi City Water.
You can influence, and that is one of the biggest role. The better thing is that you're not even in that board. You do not sit in that board, so you can independently engage various stakeholders. And if need be, I can engage the president. If need be, if I'm not seeing results from the relevant bodies, I can engage the president. Let me tell you, most of the challenges that we are having in Nairobi, it is just lack of goodwill. It is not like we don't have resources. We have resources. It is lack of goodwill. And those people that you've elected sometimes think that whatever Article 96 stipulates as a role of a senator, that's enough. And you expect upigiwe makofi by who and why? If you are a good leader, as I'm offering myself as alpha, I am going beyond the call of a senator to make sure that my people are well represented. And I remember you told me that maybe 2027 I'll be thinking about being a governor. No. Because that's one of the challenges that we are having. You look as if you're already sabotaging the government that is in place,
so that you can
that you can go and solve. You see, that's what many. That's one of the law that is that is one of the law that that you first cause a problem, then you solve that problem, you make now your enemy your friend. You see? But for me, I will be looking that by the 5 years that I have served Nairobians, they can see my work. I won't need to campaign to be a senator again for 2027. They will give me that mandate again. Niendeleza for the next 5 years, inshallah. And then after that, we will decide where. But I don't see myself becoming governor of Nairobi. Maybe somewhere else. Yes, but not governor.
Okay. I know that there's another area where you said, look, let's work on, and that's the issue of security.
Yes,
right,
yes,
in the city.
yes.
Before we go to that, the platform upon which you chose is an independent one.
Yes.
Why did you choose to do that? Or were you part of a member of a party, as we have seen is the case with quite a number, and then left the party and chose to go independent? Which one was it for you?
I was a member of the Kenya Kwanza group. And I really want to thank the leadership led by His Excellency William Samoei Ruto for giving us a platform, for giving us an opportunity to showcase our skills as young leaders, and myself as Alpha. I was given a platform, quite a good platform, and I brought a lot of value to Kenya Kwanza, and especially as a young person. And where we decided to go independent is where things did not really, there was no process of, you saw what happened in Nairobi.
No, we didn't.
You didn't see? In Kenya Kwanza, leave alone our competitors, but in Kenya Kwanza, I'll speak for Kenya Kwanza, but I know both sides what happened. But I'll speak for Kenya Kwanza. That was in April 9. There was an understanding that the current senator, Honorable Sakaja, should go for the governor's seat as a Kenya Kwanza official candidate. And then Margaret Wanjiru, Bishop, who was also vying for the same seat, would now come to the Senate seat. And they decided that without, I was not consulted. So without us being consulted, you just don't hope.
So what you're saying is you had already expressed interest.
Yes.
In this seat.
Yes.
Which of the Kenya Kwanza parties did you belong to?
I was in UDA.
So as a UDA person, you wanted to be the senator.
Yes.
And then the meetings took place. And this is what we are being told. These are called consensus meetings.
Yes.
So in the consensus building, your consensus was not sought.
My consensus was not sought. And from that, we followed up the following week on what is the official position on this thing. And there was nothing much. And sometimes you feel like they are looking at the ideas of you people maybe do not really matter so long as we get the governor's position. And those are the sacrifices that sometimes people have to make. But as they make them, let us also get involved, because we are not in this for just a ride. We are in this for impact. Yes, and even if you were to seek, it was a consensus. Ask us, Alpha and your team, what's your manifesto? What are the things that you want captured in Kenya Kwanza? At least you've engaged me, and you've engaged me as a serious in a serious meeting. But if it's just about photography session, and now sasa tuendelee namna hiyo, that one we are not going to do.
So that's the reason why you left? The engagement
yes,
did not happen, and you felt as
there was no engagement. In fact, I sought refuge under Musalia Mudavadi in ANC. Yes, it's still Kenya Kwanza. And I thought that maybe this is going to be a little bit different. But still nothing was coming. And it was like it was already decided that Bishop Margaret Wanjiru is going to be senator for Kenya Kwanza. For me, what my argument is this: Bishop Margaret Wanjiru and Honorable Sakaja, both were going for the same seat. How difficult was it to give one a deputy and the other, so that they combine their manifestos.
Alpha, we see that with this coalitions that we
Yes.
see bringing together several parties,
Yes.
then results in the zoning, what they're calling
Yes,
zoning,
yes,
that we
especially
have
Nairobi.
seen, in many parts, you know. So then people fall victim to this zoning, and isn't it, once you see that parties are forming these alliances and forming these coalitions, isn't it almost a given that there will be people who will fall by the wayside as a result of these negotiations that are being done?
Definitely. And this is where it calls you to go back to your basics as a candidate and ask yourself, why did I even start this journey? It was very easy for Alpha to give up and say, you know what? Let me just cry. Oh, they've sidelined me. They've done this and this. But we are moving on. We are moving on. Yes, we did a tactical retreat just to look at things and maybe to see if our agendas really will be represented. Something else that informed us going forward. Because I'm a person who also consults. I'm the leader, yes, but I need to consult. Because you have various stakeholders. Something else that also involves us. You see, there was an opinion poll by TIFA recently. And they said, in the Senate seat, Nairobi, over 70% of the respondents are undecided on who to elect as their next senator. My good friend and competitor, Sifuna, had 19%. Margaret Bishop had 6%. And the rest are undecided. What does that tell you, even as a serious candidate and a serious leader? You know, there are two things. There is the issue of looking for votes and the issue of delivering. The issue of looking for votes is as important as the issue of delivering. So if you're not able to look for votes, then definitely you will not get to the stage of saying that you will deliver anything. So we had to weigh on these things. So 70% is quite a huge number for the city. It means that Nairobians are craving for better ideas, new ideas, a different kind of a leader. Wenye wako hawatoshi bado, wenye wanaona. That's why they are not able to choose.
How old is this poll?
Pardon?
When was the poll conducted? How old is
the
it?
The poll last week, actually. Not last week. This week. It was this week.
Poll.
Yes, this week. Yeah.
So this week's poll is out and Alpha Moura has not featured on the poll.
Yes.
So the things that you've just said, if you're not able to mobilize and you're not able to deliver, applies to you.
They do not apply to me because it means the next 90 days. It's not yet official campaign season. I have been hustling. Saa hii wataniona kwa ground.
So when you start to do this is when then it will apply to you.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So when the campaigns begin and you begin to tell people, you begin to tell people about what it is that you ought to do and across the board, that is when you say, now I can be, my name then should be found amongst these people
very well
who then should be making a difference.
In fact,
if they're given the position.
By the end of this month, we should be able to feature on the opinion polls because from this month I'm starting my campaigns. I've just been listening and making my tours, putting together a few issues. I've also been working on my projects. Definitely I'm a young person. I am not an old politician or someone who's just retired from government, who's coming with some big checks. I'm just trying to push the Nairobian dream. And in that, I think for me, if Alpha is elected senator today, leave alone kama akona jina kubwa ama hana. Kama atawafanyia kazi mzuri ama hatafanya kazi mzuri, I already inspire not just my fellow youth, but beyond Nairobi, I already inspire change. By me being not watch a ballot, being on the race with big names. I already inspire so many. And we are not stopping because the why is what that pushes me. The why. Why am I in this? It's very easy for me to give up, by the way. It's very easy for me as Alpha to say, you know what? I still have my job. Let me go back to my job. I'ma get the back seat, get funded by the deputy president, or be in Azimio team and just joyride. Every day do photographs and joyride. But that is not what I want. I am looking at a situation whereby Alpha will be a big name, not just in Kenya, not just in Africa, but I'll be able to represent my country in bodies like the UN. Yes, but you have to start somewhere. Someone asked me, mbona Alpha hujaanza MCA? I have a lot of respect for MCAs. I have a lot of respect for MPs, but my calling and where I feel I can serve best is not just at the Senate, but in Nairobi as a city, with all the diversity that is here.
Time for us to take a break. Alpha, have you heard of the new Samsung A series?
A33,
A53, A73.
Yes, A73.
You're looking forward to the A73,
Yeah,
aren't you?
yeah,
right?
the A73.
Why?
The A73 features, I'm one person who loves the elements of photography and videography. By the way, I did that when I was in school. I was a photographer in my hustling days.
Right.
And I used to use smartphones and small cameras. So as I go on, though I've moved to other fields, I'm still very passionate about those features, especially that the lens, the A73 lens, and the features themselves. It's a 8 GB RAM. Those are things that excite us, young people.
Indeed.
Yes, and those are some of the things that I'm telling young people, that if you get a senator who at least connects with
Gets
the things
you.
that you're passionate about, tunaenda mbali.
How about that? The A73 makes the hustle awesome as well.
Yeah, sure.
Indeed. Keep it here for more. It's 26 minutes to 10. Kenya's biggest conversation. Let's take a break. How the roads looking like at this hour. We'll tell you, and whether it's going to be raining later today in Nairobi. Good morning. Our guest today is Alpha Mwaura. He is an aspirant for the Nairobi Senate seat. And he's telling us he's running as an independent. He has issues with coalitions and what coalitions are doing to democracy and expansion of voices in the country. Good morning.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Brought to you by Colgate.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. We will see the sun come out at some point as well. Again, 23 will be the high and lows of 15. At 19 degrees, it's sunny in Nakuru, highs of 24 and lows of 15. 15 will be the low in a rainy Nyeri now at 20. Highs of 23. Mostly sunny at 20 in Eldoret, highs of 25 and lows of 13. And we're looking at light rain in Mombasa at 26, highs of 31 and lows of 24. Rain showers in Malindi at 27 with highs of 30. And the sun is out and about in Kisumu. Mostly cloudy, however. Highs of 28 and lows of 19 today. Mostly cloudy at 23 in Kakamega. Highs of 28 and lows of 16. It still continues to rain in Kampala at 22. We'll see highs of 26. Highs of 29 in Dar es Salaam, where it's now sunny. Sunny conditions as well in Johannesburg, highs of 22 and lows of 10, while at 25, it's raining in Lagos, highs of 31. 33 will be the high in a wet Kinshasa as well, currently at 23. It's 13 and sunny in Beijing, out into Friday evening, highs of 23 and lows of 10. Sunny at 11 in Paris, highs of 23, and we'll see highs of 22 in London, where it's sunny as well, and around things out in New York, coming into Friday, we'll see highs of 15 and lows of 10.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo
Not so much
soul,
of a headache
and
this morning.
nostalgia.
Traffic looking much better on most of our roads today. Still industrial area, just a little bit here and there, and it's just coming to an end on Langata Road, but we're still getting to that Timor roundabout with some traffic. Uhuru Highway then out into the city, that looks all right. And Kiamburu is still giving it hot and heavy this morning. Traffic in and outbound, as well as just past the Utali Drift on the Thika Superhighway, traffic continues. So those pockets here and there of traffic, we'll keep an eye on things as we go along this morning. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Business news with Spice FM.
Dennis Aseto. Family Bank shareholders have approved 1.1 billion shillings, 0.83 per share dividend payout at its 15th annual general meeting. This follows an impressive 2021 full-year results that saw the bank book a 3.3 billion shillings profit before tax. This was a 132% increase in earnings compared to the full year results of 2020. The Standard Chartered Bank has enrolled over 4,000 university students across the country into a program to deliver them into the ready workforce. Dubbed Future Makers Initiative, the program is working with 6 universities across the country to equip the students with employability training skills. Regina Mukiri, the bank's head of sustainability and community engagement, says the initiative is rigorous and will sharpen the employability rate among students graduating. Now, the number of passengers using the Madaraka Express increased from 806,000 in 2020 to 1,993,000 in 2021. A new report released by the Kenya Bureau of Statistics has revealed, noting that the revenue from its passengers traffic more than doubled to 2.2 billion shillings over the same period from 896 million shillings in 2020. The 2022 KNBS Economic Survey indicated that revenue from cargo haulage on the SGR rose by 24%. Kenya's employment levels rebounded slightly in 2021, increasing by 921,600 as the economy recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic, which saw millions of livelihoods lost. According to the Economic Survey 2022, employment outside small-scale agriculture and pastoralist activities stood at 18.3 million people, up from 17.4 million in 2020. Further, the private sector recorded a growth of 6.8% in employment levels compared to a decline of 10% in 2020. For Spice Business, I'm Dennis Aseto.
SpiceFM Business. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
It is 20 minutes to 10. Kenya's biggest conversation. It continues.
Mornings
Eric Latiff,
done right.
Okoh, and our guest this morning, Alpha Mwaura, who is a senatorial aspirant for Nairobi City County. He's here with us. He's an independent candidate. Alpha initially worked very closely with UDA and the Kenya Kwanza coalition, and then you know what happened in Karen. Meeting took place, and the leadership of the nominees for Nairobi County were unveiled. Governor Johnson Sakaja, Senate Bishop Margaret Wanjiru, and so on and so forth. Alpha, nowhere. So Alpha decided independent is the way to go. Alpha, are you saying that coalitions have, because of having to balance the interests of the various political formations coming together into a coalition, then that is also detrimental to democracy?
Very detrimental to democracy, and we are going to see a very big rise in the number of not just independent candidates, but independent leaders. And independent leaders who are going to be voted in, not just candidates. You know, you can be a candidate and they don't make it. But you're going to see a rise in the numbers of candidates, because one, being an independent candidate also has the positive sides. One of it is that you are going now to represent the interest of the people who've mandated you directly, not the interest of the party. Because parties, for lack of a better word, are business shops. Yes, that is a place where you've established a political party for the only one purpose: win elections, get candidates, and then that's it. So by the end of the day, some people will come lie to Kenyans and Nairobians that they are going to do this, but they are not going to do, because of what? The interest. They will have to balance the interests of the parties. They will go, the principal will say, you know what, in Nairobi, as a senator, do not try and check the governor, what governor is doing. We've already approved this. And even if your conscience does not support that, you will agree. Because you will be forced, you will be asked, have you read the party constitution? If you dare question anything, you'll be asked, have you read the party constitution? And your story will be rested at that. So you will compromise on the quality of leadership that you offer to Nairobians.
But Alpha,
yes,
the way political parties are structured, in law, and in very many of the political party constitutions, a party must have a structure of leadership.
Yes.
From grassroots all the way to the national level. And this is a members' party.
Yes.
It cannot be an individual's party.
Uh-huh.
So decisions are not made by an individual. Decisions are made by organs of the party. If it is about what the party is championing at the National Assembly or in the Senate, there's a parliamentary group that
Yes.
will be meeting and discussing, this is the direction that we are taking.
Yes.
Maybe some leaders will come in and say, this is what we think. But you have an opportunity to air your views, to express yourself, to disagree
Yes.
within the party.
Yes.
Is that not a good thing? I mean,
Well,
because
that's-
the way you're putting it is, once you have been given a UDA ticket, the owner of UDA will be telling you, jump.
What to do?
Not,
Jump and you say
not really, but in some situations, and those are the situations that Nairobians really need your leadership, you will be forced to compromise. And that compromise is not the healthy compromise. You know, there are good compromises where you're compromising something for the sake of the benefit of so many.
Yep.
But for this one, it's for the benefit of two people, two individuals who supported, they should not, they are in quotes untouchables. Yes. Now, what I was saying about political parties is this, and Kenyans deserve better from political parties, because political parties are funded from mwananchi taxpayers' money. So, in fact, Kenyans should ask so many questions, and they deserve better from political parties. Independent candidates will make political parties behave. Because they will see, oh, kumbe Kenyans can also get leaders who are independent. And hakuna chama inaitwa independent party. For me, I am vying, there is the approved symbol. My name Alpha will be on the ballot. That is what I'm vying on. Hakuna mahali kwa billboard ama kwa poster tutaweka independent. Now, I will be pushing my logo, my symbol, not any other symbol. I'll be pushing my logo and my symbol. And my mandate will be from the people.
Yeah, but I've got to ask you.
Yes.
That this seems like it's a change. Because I would be very afraid to think that your agenda has changed because the vehicle upon which you want to get into a position of leadership has changed. That you joined the party with an agenda. Now, because of 1, 2, 3 issues, which you so clearly told us now, you are no longer part of that party.
Yes.
So you believed in the party when you joined in the first place. But now, because you were not given the opportunity for the position that you wanted, you now no longer believe in the party.
That's not my position. My position is that with or without a political party, the dream that Alpha had to be senator of Nairobi City County was there.
Okay.
That is first.
Okay.
And the vehicle is just as you choose. Your Mercedes-Benz, a Range Rover, do I take a matatu? It's just as you choose. This is just it is a vehicle to the Senate. And if that vehicle has a puncture or has issues in the engine, you put it aside and get another vehicle to get you to where you are going. Otherwise, sitting down there and whining that I was not considered, this and this was not done, that would be an easier option, but we are not going to do that. Yes. So it's not like I don't believe in some of the agendas that we were propelling, something like the bottom-up economic approach, empowering. I was to talk about the empowerment issue and access to opportunities as one of my biggest agenda, which I've already started implementing. As mwananchi mdogo, as a hustler, I've already started implementing that, and it is a creative center that we are doing in Starehe constituency. I believe Starehe constituency, among the 17 constituencies in Nairobi County, is the heartbeat of Nairobi, being that it hosts the CBD. So we will do that as a pilot project. We will have a studio for young people. We will have a place whereby we display talents of young people. We will also be going to the ground and getting talents from Korogocho. Nairobi is so talented. Nairobi has a lot of good and talented people. But what they are lacking is just that exposure and that person to just hold their hand. Mark you, as a leader, you have a salary from the taxpayers. You have facilitation. You even have the goodwill of organizations that are based in the capital, private and UN organizations, that if you do a good proposal, they will be able to assist your people. But we do not see that happening. We only see people telling us, my job is to make laws. Okay, you've made laws, shelved them. How are they helping Nairobians? My job is to make laws, check on the excesses of the executives and such things. But if you were to go beyond as a leader, and especially with the uniqueness of Nairobi as a capital, then definitely they will see a better leader in Alpha, and it will be a win-win. As Alpha, I will grow to where I want to as a world leader. I would want one day to represent Kenya as a world leader, not just Kenya, Africa, and thinking about I'm retiring back to go and vie for Senate in Nyeri or some other upcountry place. Yeah, like I'm seeing other senior politicians do. Yeah, these people do not have ambition. They just want, after 2 terms in the position of governor, you're back at the Senate just for you to get protection. Not really that you have something new, but to just get protection and protect whatever that you have amassed from the public. Yes.
Independent, like you said, we are likely to see an increase in the number of independent leaders.
Yes,
people who
that's
are
for sure.
elected on an independent ticket.
Yes.
Now, for me, whereas it's a good thing, it's an expansion of democracy, I still have something tagging somewhere back of my mind. And I'm thinking, if we have people who are elected via political parties, and once they are elected, the one major complaint that voters have is once we elect a leader,
yes,
we are not able to hold them accountable.
Accountable for anything.
They go in there, and the next thing that they're doing is they're doing their own thing.
Yes.
Now you have an independent candidate who has become an independent member of parliament.
Yes.
There is nothing, there is no body at all that is holding them accountable at that local level in the form or shape of a political party.
Yes.
So it is Alpha going to parliament and deciding, you know what, I am representing my people and I'll use my conscience. And you can shift your conscience however you want. You can decide, my conscience tells me that we should approve and raise the debt ceiling to 25 trillion. It's my conscience.
You see, as an independent...
Whereas with the political party, at least... There's a requirement.
You have a stand.
Yes.
Let me tell you something, Eric. That even as an independent, you will have also to contribute and choose a side when it comes to voting.
Yes.
And this one will be based on your conscience, not on whipping by the party. That you're told you must vote this direction, and that's the position of the party. Even if you feel that is wrong, you will have to vote in that direction. As an independent candidate, you now vote based on the interest of your people. Your people, you've not asked me about my funding and everything else. It is small people, small businesses and small business people that are funding, that are contributing to my campaign. I wouldn't be here so confidently that I'm running for the Senate seat in Nairobi, knowing how vast it is, without a plan, without a political, without a strategy, a fund strategy. And to the many young people, many small business people who are funding and contributing their small amounts to my campaign, I want to thank you so much and assure you. That's why my conscience is clean and it's clear that I am going to serve the interest of the people who've put me there, not political parties, not strong individuals from the city, but the people who've put me in that position.
How many people are vying for Senate in Nairobi?
We will know the clear number once they've been cleared by IBC.
How many have expressed interest?
The people who've expressed interest ni wengi, lakini wale wengi walizimwa because walikuwa both ends and they were told now you forget about this.
So how many so far?
So far my competitors is Sifuna, Bishop. I don't know anyone else. I have tried to look, but I had so many other, even young people who I see that we can work together in this. Even young people. There was a young lady, alikuwa anajiita Mama Sanitizer. I don't know whether she's still continuing or not. There is also other well-experienced people. Maina Kamanda pia alizimwa. You see, like for me competing against Maina Kamanda. It looks off.
It's an achievement by itself.
No. I'm not looking at it that way. It looks off. I mean, why are we? Doesn't he have an ambition? You've been there. You've had all the chances. He's now a nominated MP. To do what? What does he represent? He's a nominated MP. Who does he represent? Does he represent the youth? He's a nominated MP. He can help in so many other ways if he wanted.
He represents the minority.
Which minority?
The old people.
Good one. Good. That's
the minority demographic in this country. We've got to acknowledge that. I wanted to tell you, all those people who are vying.
Yeah.
We keep hosting political aspirants here.
Yes.
And each of them says, I will go there to represent my people. And I will only be beholden to the people who put me in office. I will not waver. The same things that you're telling
us. Let me say why Alpha is a little bit different.
How is it different, really? Because, I mean, that's the thing that you will get
from
people is that we're just hearing the same tune over and over again.
Let me say why mine is different. And I've always reminded my team and people that it's very easy to give up and leave alone these things, the big names you're competing against, the vastness of Nairobi, the many challenges that we are having. But for me, I promise, even in the 90 days that I will be campaigning, you will see a difference in my campaign. And if that will convince you enough to vote for me, asante sana. Because I assure Nairobians a campaign that they will be proud of. Not in terms of being well-oiled, but by the things that we're going to be doing even as a team. I will give platform to other young people who are vying, just as I've been given platform by the Kenya Kwanza group, with the little that we will have for them also to propel their dream. We'll be launching our creative center in between our campaigns. That is something that will continue with or without the Senate seat. That is something that will continue, and I will have made an impact. Yes, with or without the Senate seat, and I want to assure Nairobians that mimi nitaendelea. I've been doing things chini ya maji, but mimi nitaendelea. Mimi nitaendelea too.
If Alpha Mora is not elected in August, what will he do to keep those that have been elected accountable?
Good. As an opinion leader, we aim at putting our best foot forward in these campaigns so that we also get the negotiating and the bargaining power. Politics is numbers. If you cannot show who are behind you as a leader, then at the negotiating table, you still be treated as such, that you are nobody. But within the next 90 days, Nairobians will be so proud of this young man because of the things that we are going to be doing. And if I'm not, kama kura zangu hazitatosha, lakini najua hazitatosha, you just wait. You know, they called me the miracle senator. And I believe in miracles.
Good.
Yes, they called me the miracle senator.
Should the miracle be delayed?
Should the miracle be delayed? As Alpha, first I will have, because of what we will have done through the campaign season, I will be a serious opinion leader in Nairobi. I'll be able to negotiate on behalf of young people. We will already be having running creative center for young people. We will also do other things. I'm passionate about mental health, which is a serious problem in Nairobi. I have toured many places in Nairobi, slums, the leafy suburbs, and I have seen the bridge. What really could you do maybe to ease the suffering of the people that I meet, leave alone as a leader, just as a human being. Yes, so there are things that I will have, and this is a learning experience. Even so far, I have been learning, adjusting, and I believe you are ready for the finishing. Yes.
You know, we have talked to now 2 independent candidates today, both in Nairobi.
Interesting.
So there's you and there's Esther Thairo, who wants to be governor. And we have seen the number of independent aspirants rising this year, 7,000 plus. This, and we asked Esther, and it's the same thing that you've said, it's because of the frustration of the political party system. So let me just ask you this directly, Alpha. Should we abolish political parties?
No. Political parties should up their game. They should do the right things the right way.
Okay.
Yes. What political parties are doing right now is what you would call negotiated, not democracy. This is not even democracy. They're looking at the interest of the principles.
Okay.
Yes. If you look at what they did in Azimio, They looked at, Wiper, tunapea nani? We want the deputy governor. It doesn't matter whether you're in sync or in rhyme with the deputy governor, but the deputy governor has to come from Wiper. Whether you will poach someone from ODM and put them to Wiper so that it's a Wiper candidate, we want a deputy governor. For the Jubilee, they said we are taking nothing less. If we are giving His Excellency, if you are giving the Right Honorable Prime Minister the position for president, we want the governor's seat. And that's what they did. For the Senate, ODM took the Senate. They took
woman rep.
They took the woman rep, and they also said the speaker is going to come from ODM. So you see, it is the interest of the principals. It is not really, they're not looking at the quality of the leader. Let me say this, and I want to be very honest, that someone like Tim Wanyonyi is a very capable leader. Very capable leader. Even if I was in Kenya Kwanza and he was in Azimio, I had tremendous respect for Tim Wanyonyi. Yes. He's a capable leader. He's a capable leader.
Right.
Yeah, but what was he told? You differ and go back to
his
Westlands.
Miracle was deferred.
And what happened to the Westlands candidates who had spent so much time, leave alone money, so much time campaigning? The likes of Philip Kisia, Fred Gumo, Ngumo-san. Yeah, they were told also, you now either go back to MCA and you differ, we will give you some work. You see, so it is the interest of the principals.
So parties
not
should
really,
style up.
They should up their game and do things the right way.
Thank you very much. Alpha Mora is an aspirant for Nairobi Senator seat. He is an independent aspirant. He hopes to get cleared by the IEBC. Then he'll be on the ballot. You've heard him. You've heard what he has to
tell them this, Eric. That on the ballot they only need to check for the captain the captain badge.
The captain badge. The four stripes.
The four stripes will be on the ballot, and the name Alpha will be on the ballot.
Okay.
And waeke tick hapo. Hao watu wanajua hao wanawajua juu ya billboard, lakini kuna yule watachagua.
Have a lovely weekend, and thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. We'll be back on Monday, God willing. It's now 10 a.m.
Thank you.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newsround.